So one day I noticed, like we did the freestyle class in one room and the session in another room. We walk over, we're talking. We go into the room. She goes into the back to dance by herself. I go to dance with my crew. I'm like, that's the difference. Community. She's trying to figure all this shit out by herself. I'm going to my feedback system, my crew.
Stay tuned, stay curious. Enculturation podcast. Welcome to the Enculturation podcast. Really appreciate you coming on the show.
Nice.
Yeah, and I feel like it's full circle because, you know, there was a lot of mention of your influence on Jardy's episode. So it's amazing to have that content and now you're here in person.
Yeah.
And also, welcome to the West Coast, right? The land of pineapple pizza.
Oh, God, I'm a fan. I'm such a fan, dude. I'm happy to be out here, man. Like, change of pace, back to being around trees again. Yeah. You know, I grew up in the suburbs. Yeah. You know, my early... I mean, we were bouncing around, military, family, ended up back into my dad's home city of Philly. And my parents were like, no. We've got to get you to the burbs. You're wild. You're wild, young man. We have to get you and your sisters out of here. So, yeah, we moved over begrudgingly into the burbs. But, yeah, I think that was the best move, man.
Yeah, I definitely have grown to appreciate all the offerings that California has to offer. Yeah. You know, California is a big place, as we were talking earlier. People don't realize that it's like the equivalent of something like 13 states on the East Coast.
Huge.
Yeah. And I know there's the perception that California is only LA or Hollywood, but there's actually a lot more out here, right?
Yeah. Oh, and I don't know what the fuck went down. It's like I came here and brought all this rain and cold weather with me. I apologize. Yeah, man, because everybody's like, yeah, it doesn't rain that much. It's, you know, it kind of stays, you know, warm all the time. I get here, it's like, it rained for like 2 weeks. It's cold as fuck. It snowed up here. It's like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry.
Let's start from the top. Like, tell me how you got into dance. I know it's a broad topic, but I'm very curious because like your style is it's very charismatic and it's very explosive at the same time. You know, I wonder how you got there.
I can say that, like, you know, I was saying, my mom said, I can remember when, as a kid, growing up in the 70s, we were always outside and being active, you know, running around the playground. I can remember when we were living in Philadelphia, it was just me with a group of my friends, just running, like, you know, and when you live in the city, I can remember being in the city. I wasn't with we were all together out of almost protection. You know what I mean? It was like we had to walk to school together to, you know, watch out for the, like, people's dogs and then the older kids. So, you know what I mean? It was this whole...
So like survival by numbers, right?
Yeah, dude. So, but that energy, you know, of just being like always telling jokes and that whole, you know, being a character, and then cartoons. Watching a lot of TV shows and cartoons that, like, you know, you kind of, for me, I, you know, took on that animated character. So I think I bring a lot of that into my dance. Yeah.
You said growing up in the 70s. Does that mean you're in your 50s now, or?
I am 50.
Whoa. You know what? Like...
Putting these numbers out there, man.
Yeah, that's quite amazing because yeah, you move very well for even a younger person, much less someone's 50. Because recently, Ishmael, he was on here and he's also 50. And I'm like, man, this like there's a whole new meaning to 50 now. You know?
Yeah, I think technology and the more access we have to information now and how to take care of our bodies and stuff, like. Goddamn! Shout out to homeboy with the knees over toes, man. The knees.
Oh, that guy, yeah.
ATG, the whole system. There's, you know, because that added an extra. For maybe an extra 10 or 5 years, because my legs were. I was feeling it, and you know, started doing his exercises as well as I started. A friend of mine is a Alexander practitioner, and that not only informed my body but informed my teaching practice, and that added years on. So yeah, I'm just right place, right time. Totally blessed.
Yeah,
place, right
definitely.
time.
Because like before, I had this preconceived notion of what 50 or 40 looks like.
Same.
And it's completely changed. Where yeah, I don't know what about it, but I'm for this change.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Because it's like it's weird because it's like everything that's kind of cool now was cool when I was 18, 19, 20. Like everybody's getting their ears wide, baggy pants are coming back, like certain fashion trends and music like EDM, but that's like techno, it's all this, and house is becoming in the mainstream again. So I'm like, damn, what the fuck is going on, bro? This is what was going on 30 years ago. Not mad. It's fly as shit, but
Yeah, things come in waves, right?
Yeah.
So with your animated personality, like how did you get like into the dance scenes and cultures that you're a part of?
So from, just hanging out, wanting to hang out, the downside of social media and phones and shit is you can just and feel a part, like not really a part, but you feel a part of something. But for me, it was like you had to go outside, you had to make friends, you had to go to a skating rink, go to a park where people would skateboard, and the thing is, like these places that you would like behind the school, all these places where you would just hang out, listen to music, exchange of information. One of the places I went to was a skating rink. I eventually, I don't know how I think, you end up going there because of a school party or something, but or somebody just tells you, hey, let's go to the skating rink. You go, you see kids from out of town, you get to, you hear music you never heard before. At the time, if you were around my age that I went to skating rinks, you start to get into girls. So it becomes this whole like rites of passage thing. Still dancing wasn't on the radar, but it's your gateway drug to dance. So, start going to the skating rink, and there was a guy named Sean Green. I started backing away from the mic. There was he is a dancer, but a friend of mine named Sean Green, he was there. And this fucker is jolly. He's still jolly. He's just full of happiness.
So is he a skater?
He was at the skating rink, a regular at the skating rink. And Sean would, he would skate around. He just looked so fucking happy, man. And him and I forgot the other guy that used to, everybody's like with their partner skating around and kind of doing their cool moves. I would just trail behind him, just following him. You know what I mean? And I don't know how many weeks it had been. One day he just turns around and sees me. He's like, dude. And I'm like, oh, he's letting me skate behind him. So we're like, skating and doing the arm stuff together and shit. And he's just like, if you meet Sean, man, he's just a happy dude, always joking around, always, like that Robin Williams type of like energy. You know what I mean? Like anything, it's always an up. And so I'm following him around the rink, and that was my favorite. Fridays, I think Saturday nights was my favorite time.
What are some of the events back then?
When we were, and this is kind of universal.
Was it an event, or was it like there was a skating rink and you just go to a skating rink?
There's a skating rink, and all the surrounding towns and cities come to like each like area had their own skating rink. Because and it's so cool because when I meet dancers that grew up in New York or different parts of the US, this was a thing to go to the skating rink. That was your rites of passage before dancing. Even some of the B-boys from Florida, same deal, man. You talk to them, skating rink. It's like your gateway drug. You know what I mean? So I ended up going to I went to one high school.
So you're saying skating rink is a Schedule 1 substance? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, for street culture.
You heard it here first.
Oh man. So I ended up going to a different high school. I didn't know anybody because I was being a bad kid in the one high school. And so my guidance counselor was like, yeah, send him to that school across town. He won't know nobody. He won't get in trouble. And it worked. I was just like, I don't know anybody out here, you know? And I don't know when it happened. I was at my locker and Sean just walks by. I'm like, oh shit. Like, yo, dude, you go to this high school. And so then I got his name because I never knew his name. That was the dude I followed. And then, Sean, he's like, Jimmy. That's my real name, Jimmy. And
that was like the old school, like analog friend request.
Yeah. Yeah. Straight up, dude. Like walking past the locker, like, dude. And then I could fucking see it too, man. So fucking, it's still crisp in my memory. And then it became a thing of if he saw me walking home and he was driving, he would, you know, hey, where you going? Drop me off at home. And then, you know, the whole thing happens where, and he was a senior, I was a freshman, and I didn't have any older brothers, you know, my parents had just gotten separated. So like, and he was an only child. So we kind of filled voids for each other where he was the older brother for me and I was the little brother for him. And then it became a thing of, hey, I'm going to the skating rink. Do you want to ride? Do you want to go? I'm like, yeah. You know, so I'm hanging out with an older kid and he's teaching me things. He's teaching, like outside of like just being responsible, you know, like teaching me how to talk to girls, you know, but in a fun way, in a very like.
So he was giving you the social aspect.
Yeah, bro. And I think, and going, remember the thing I messaged you about where it's like, everything I'm kind of saying, like you meet somebody, they don't, in my opinion, they don't have to even necessarily be older than you. Somebody who's in that world already. They're your guide. Later on, when I first got to New York, Brooklyn Terry became that guide for me. You know what I mean? Whereas like you go to this place, you're like, whoa, what is this? And then you meet somebody and you just click and then they just kind of like, oh, this is this is that, this is this is that. And they hip you to what's going on in that world. And Sean was that for me just as a young man. You know what I mean? And eventually we're going to the skating rink and one day he's like, dude, we're going to go to a club. You want to go? And I'm like, what? Like, yeah, it's like a teen club. Then it's like basically like, they play like the skating rink with no skates. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to go. So it was I guess it was franchised. I'm not sure. So you had a lot of, I guess, clubs that were geared towards kids. In the 80s.
That's like a new concept because as far as I know, clubs are like 18 or 21 over, right? So
yeah, but man, like I mean, as far as I can remember, they were always when I was growing up, there were all these.
Yeah, so was it like a kids club or okay?
They would be geared toward like 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And
so like after school programs kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, these were like clubs, bro. Like for kids, you know.
That's definitely a new one for me.
Yeah. And there was like popcorns. There was Franchines. These are the ones I'm naming around my area. Electric Playground. Horns. There were a ton of them. Like hopefully a lot of my friends growing up, they'll probably write on the comments like, because I forget, but I definitely Electric Playground was pivotal because they had one in Philadelphia. And they had another one in New Jersey. That's where I saw Sekou for the first time doing house. I saw Sekou at the Electric Playground in Trenton. Wow. Yeah, when I was like 16.
Was that also the first time you saw house in general?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Because so we go to the Electric Playground in Philly, and I'm like, bro, I'm scared out of my fucking mind because I'm like, there's music playing, there's cool kids everywhere, there's girls everywhere, and I'm just like. I'm scared, but I'm a fly on the wall at the same time. So I'm taking in all the information. So even though I'm not like participating, I'm still like, you know, and then at one point, there's a circle. I don't even know how the fuck I got there, man. I just ended up looking at a circle, like watching dancers going one by one.
You know, honestly, I've always made this analogy that a circle is like a whirlpool of energy.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
regardless of where you are,
Exactly.
it'll draw you to it.
Yep.
That's how I kind of feel it out, you know?
Yeah, yeah, dude, and it's primal, man. It's fucking primal because you look at how tribes, indigenous people, or just these circles keep coming up, and how energy works in these circles, And I don't know how the fuck it happened. Somebody just pulled me out into the circle, and I started dancing. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just, everybody starts going crazy. I was just like, second drug of choice. And I became addicted after that, man.
So at that point, were you just freestyling based on like how you felt, or did you already have some kind of vocabulary under your belt?
It's a little of both, I would say, because
And did that vocabulary come from the skating movements?
nah, that came from just growing up.
Okay.
Like growing up in the my parents' generation, the motherfuckers were dancing. Like it was just, and I can say as a Black American, there's a lot of dance, but I could just remember we always had we were dancing, socially dancing was your ticket in to anything. Like right now you can just log into something, but you think about where was all the cool shit happening, where people were dancing. Where was the cool music happening, where people were dancing. Like dancing was the ticket. Frank Thomas, somebody who's instrumental in what we call house dance movement, right? I was talking to him once. He was like, because he's older than me, so he can verbalize it way better than I could.
Yeah, the few snippets I've seen of Frank Thomas is like so freaking smooth.
Yeah,
like where I'm just like, this guy is just pure baby powder, like in motion.
Yeah, totally. He was saying that, dancing was more important than how you dressed, right? You know how you have to look cool, but if you look cool but you couldn't move, you could do sports but you couldn't like move, you couldn't dance. He was like, dancing was your ticket in. You know what I mean? And I had two older sisters who were, going out to parties and stuff like they can dance in. And, I always had family. My family always had like, there were always block parties. There was always something going on where you were just dancing. So it was just like, it was always a means of expression, but it was just when you're a kid and now I'm in a club now. So now it's like all this information now has a place to funnel into. You know what I mean? So that's, essentially at that first circle was just like, ah! It was just, and the little bit of exhibitionist in me, you know what I mean? Got to, pour over into that. But then after that, it was kind of like me going to Sean, just like somebody after their first hit being like, dude, when we're going to go again? When am I going to have on my next hit?
There's definitely a magic ingredient that I found in dance, because I think one thing I've observed in like music or dance culture is there's like a simultaneous connection going on between either observer or participant, whether it's DJ or dancer or musician and crowd, right?
Yeah,
that I think is not as prevalent in other art forms where like for me, for example, I do photography too. Mm-hmm. But when I take a photo, it's not like it's impacting anyone at that moment.
Exactly.
But when you're dancing, it's like whatever is happening at that moment is what you're getting.
Yep.
And I think the power of it, or at least one of the power of it, is like the realization that you're all connected and that you have an influence on someone else.
Yep.
And they have influence on you.
Yeah. The turnaround, because I'm a visual artist first. Like from far back as I can remember, I was always drawing. But the same exact thing you're saying, the turnaround. Like I have to draw it, I got to proofread it, I got to check it, and then I got to show it, and then maybe I'll take it back. So it's a lot of, yay. Whereas dance is like instantaneous. I do this, you respond. It's like you get that little serotonin dip, like, ooh. So it's like, it's quick. Oh shoot, the turnaround is like super quick.
Yeah, it's not even turnaround. It's like a live feedback loop, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's one thing I really I couldn't really put into words earlier, but I feel strongly about that observation now.
Yeah. Especially because for me, like I'm like photography. like visual art, hours, bro. I love drawing, but it is agonizing sometimes. You're sitting there and you're by yourself and you're drawing and your thoughts are, you're just like, But, there is a sense of joy from drawing. But, when you dance, it's like you cut that loop time to, it's like more fireworks. Mm-hmm. It's like Star Wars and the other one is Dune. Yeah.
Yeah. So far you mentioned where you saw Sekou and Brooklyn Terry brought you into the scene. Were they also some of your like influences as well, or who are your influences?
This is the timetable is wild because this is like mid 80s. We were going to. Sean was taking me to a lot of clubs, like different and then we ended up working at the Hideout, which was a teen club. And then we would dishwash there. And my childhood friend growing up, Chad Javier, worked there as well. Like, it's just, you know what I mean? Like, just,
And at this point, were you in New York already?
No, this is still suburbs of Jersey, man, right outside of Philly. Yeah. First club I went to was in Philly. Electric Playground was in Philly, but I was still living in the burbs of Jersey. We're going to the Hideout, and now I'm hanging around now because I'm showing a little bit of talent, like dance-wise. There were dancers I met, and I mean, he named himself after the producer, but it was a dancer named like Scott LaRock, Little Scott, Chrissy, Johnny, Shane, and a bunch of white kids that were just fucking dope, just dope dancers, man. And Chrissy, it was related to the Arquettes, the acting family, the Arquettes.
Refresh me.
Just look it up, man. They're actors. They're in a lot of films. Okay. Like what? But she was related to them.
Okay.
And we all hung out to Hideout, and then I got to meet like the dancers that they looked up to, Keith, Brad, Angel, and there's a lot. I've danced with a lot of angels. This is angel number one. Ira, who were like the cooler kids. And it's crazy because they all like lived around the corner from me. Never knew. You know what I mean? Claude was Keith's older brother. Claude's. So these are like the cool black kids. You know what I mean? And we all just hung out together, going to the clubs. And I think a Saturday, everybody's like, yo, we're gonna go to Electric Playground in Trenton. I was like, the fuck? Like, it's gonna get like, it's like a step up, you think this place is cool. This place is cool. They got better music, cuter girls. And we go there. So this is primarily the time where if I do hear house, it's not even house. You're hearing more dance music. I can remember at the Hideout, because we were just dancing to R&B and anything danceable. I can remember when Johnny came in, he was at a club in the city, in Philly, and he's like, yo, man, I'm doing hip hop. We were like, what the fuck is that? Because to us, it was just a music genre. It was like, I'm doing hip hop dance. And we're like, he's like, you remember what they're doing in the Rob Bass and Easy Rock video? And I'm doing that shit. We're like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm doing hip hop. So, because everything else was just all the social dances with a little bit of flavor, colored by a little, because I'm in that in-between phase of, we had popping and locking and breaking. And then it was like, I'm with the kids after all that. So we're kind of playing with a little bit of everything, but it's not breaking, it's not popping, it's not locking. And we were playing with the social dances, right? But then Johnny comes in going, no, I'm doing hip hop. That's what I'm doing. They're doing it. And we're just looking like, what is that? What is he doing? So then we go to Electric Playground. Different music. The energy's different. I'm hearing the dancers yell college chants. Like when you start going in, or for me, when I started going to like clubs that were playing more like house music and like the New Jack Swing type music, that R&B got more fast paced. I don't know how the chants came in, because when I talk to a lot of dancers from New York, from that freestyle generation, they talk about chants, like all this back and forth with the music.
Chants like anthems kind of thing?
Not like, so if you hear Love Dance, oh God, if you hear, I forgot who made this song, but if you hear like, Is It All Over My Face? Mm-hmm. Is it all over my face? Mm-hmm. You got me love dancing. You know what I mean? If you go to a party in New York or like close in Jersey, like Jersey City, New York, you hear, is it, the whole club yells, hell yeah. And so, but like there were the first, and there's many other songs where there's a feedback loop where this song is played and the crowd, when I went to Electric Playground in Trenton is the first time I'm hearing this, like there's chants, there's interaction there's like this like call and response to the music. And when, to feel that energy of connection, it's fucking awesome. Because we're all chanting, we're all in sync with what's happening. So that was infectious to me. This is also, I'm seeing dancers, I'm seeing how queer culture influences club culture. Because now I'm seeing like how college culture is influencing, the energy of the club. Because now I'm hearing not only the back and forth, but I'm hearing chants that are from colleges. And so, and again, this is all exciting to me. I'm like, I'm seeing cis males with their earrings pierced on the queer side. And I'm going, but he looks straight. He looks cis, but he's bagging girls. Like, what's going on? I'm seeing guys with their shirts tied like this and going, is he queer? But he's getting girls. So now I'm doing this because I want to get girls. You know what I mean? So it's like an education, unsaid education. You're just seeing, and then I'm seeing new movement. And as the night goes on, the music changes. The lights get dimmer, the music changes. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Then they're like, hey man, Tony, that's like, I'm seeing these dancers come out and they look like they're high. Because high in the sense of most of the energy is very high energy. Everything is up, everything is like bouncing, the music's hype, everything's hype. But these dancers come in and it's dark and they're moving super slow, super smooth. They're moving almost with their eyes almost shut. I'm like, I'm scared. I go up to like almost like the balcony overlooking the dance floor and I'm watching like this, and it's Sekou and his friends. And they're doing house. You know what I mean? And it's blowing me away, man. And before that, I didn't like house music. I liked dance music. I liked like that, all the skating rinky hype songs. If it was a house song, it had to have some like hip hop overtones to it. But then when you see somebody do the movement, the attitude, the fashion married to the music, third drug of choice.
I think there's definitely something to seeing music accompanied with a really good dancer, because I think the dancer brings out the music and it actually brings you closer to the music, right? Because I for example, watching Shan S or Idra or Brian Green. Oh yeah. I'm like, I did not hear that sound earlier, but now I hear it. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. And it's the complete package. You know what I mean? It's like if they're wearing a certain thing, you go, I gotta start dressing like that now. Just because the closer I can get to that feeling again. And then after that, I'm chasing house movement. Now, like before, I can remember listening to house songs and just going, I like this part. Just like, because most of your songs were like 2, 3, 4, maybe at the longest, maybe 5, maybe. House songs were like fucking long. I'd be like, this shit, I just want to hear this part. And then stop the record. But then after seeing someone, and it wasn't only Sekou. I would actually have to ask Sekou, because it was like him and all these other guys with him. He was one out of many. But I just remember my friend going, that's Tony. and his friends.
As in Tony McGregor?
No, Tony, Sekou's other name is Tony.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was kind of like, and it's funny because I meet him years later. He was bouncing at Wetlands. And I'm looking at him in the face. I'm like, yeah, this is Sekou and blah, blah. I'm looking at him in the face. I'm looking at him. I'm going, is your name Tony? He's like, yeah. I'm going, and I just look at him. I go, you're like the first person I ever saw Dance House. And it all comes full circle, man, in this beautiful way, you know? So crazy. Out of nowhere, like I'm with, like, if we go on and speak about it, I'm with my crew, the crew I'm in called Step Fenz, and we're just, you know, we hung out at Wetlands that they play jungle on Mondays. And Sekou's bouncing there. And and we're just talking, yada yada. I'm just staring at him like, why does this dude look familiar? And I just was like, Tony? Is that Tony? Yeah. Holy shit. You know, full circle, crazy, full circle. But, and I'm a junkie. I'm full on into this house shit. I'm
There's no going back.
Yo, yeah. It's changing the way I dress. And the thing is, I don't even want to call it house because it wasn't. Now that
I have to ask, did you ever have a long hair phase?
Oh yeah.
I feel like everyone who gets into has a long hair phase.
Yeah.
And like it becomes part of you. I don't know what it is, but I've seen it happen across the board.
Bruh, let me tell you, if this hat is on for a reason. I wear the crown for a reason. I miss having long hair, man. I miss it. Like, you know, I would say it was more, I don't want to call it house yet. It was like, I don't even like, it was like club, but it was like the energy of the time because it was like club culture, but it was like at that time, and you know, it was just like almost like this hippie, and it's just a wave. This wave hit street culture. You know what I mean? It was like having locks was popular. New Jack Swing was happening. There was a back to Africa movement. You know what I mean? Where everybody was wearing like beads and shells and going back to, you know, everybody going back to their Afrocentric roots. And it was just it was this feeling, this energy that lent itself to my generation kind of gravitating to the clubs and to capoeira. I hope I'm not saying it wrong, but like just this experimental phase of just looking and pulling in all these different influences, man. And all of it was happening ground zero at clubs because we're watching in real time. We're living in real time where
this was before there were classes and the club was the only class.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. Thank God, man. Cause there was something about traveling to and seeking and finding and asking. You had to earn it, man. Like,
yeah, I feel like the mystery or the ambiguity of the nightlife, I guess, adds to the excitement you get when you actually achieve it.
Yeah, you were a native, man. Like, you could separate a tourist from a native easily. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, it was just I missed that, man, because you had to earn, and these motherfucking clubs were expensive as fuck. These fuckers were like $20 back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, that's like 50 now, 50 or 60.
Fuck, yeah. Bro. So you could understand why, you know, some of the older dancers or the seasoned dancers or the people who were like regulars at that club, you come in there, you know, making a circle or coming out of, you know, doing shit out of pocket, people would want to fuck you up. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm still at this point. I'm kind of getting, you know, dancing in school, you know, dancing because now dancing is it is a popular thing to do, especially like this is like when hip hop dances is becoming popular. We're looking at any music video with just a smidgen of just dancing, and this is like anybody. We're being influenced by the dancers on the West Coast, dancers on the East Coast, you know, meaning it, like any music video with dance in it, that's our YouTube. And yeah. And we're still going out and exchanging information. But they were like superheroes in my area. We had like Darren, Sheldon, Angel, Storm, Rome. These are all the dancers that I grew up around, and that were like superhuman to me. Like these were they were younger. I mean, they were older than me, and I'm just like going to the clubs and just watching these guys and being like, what the fuck? And this is still freestyle. So, and they are pulling in from a little bit of what you see from breaking, a little bit of pop, and a little bit of like whatever. It's just, and I'm just a fan, and I didn't care. I miss the feeling of like, I just wanted to be there. I just wanted to get better and be there. Not in the sense of like status or upholding something. Just that sense of like, I just want to get better and be there. I want to get better and be a part of this community. Like I just wanted to be there for that. And I can remember I ended up dancing for a rapper. And I ended up dancing for a rapper, and all the dancers I looked up to were like dancing for this guy. Casper was one of them. These are all the dancers I would look at in the clubs and be like, these dudes are so dope. And I was kind of like the little brother type of deal. I was the youngest and the shortest, and they were just teaching me stuff. At this time also, Rennie Harris was working on a TV show called Dancing on Air and One House Street. And he was the floor manager. And my friends, a lot of my friends, Clyde Evans, Brian Mangini, Abdul, he lives out here now. They were all on this TV show. And they would all go to the club. So we're all hanging out together. So there's this like exchange of information happening but amongst all of us, as well as us all looking up to Darren and Sheldon and Angel and all these guys and watching them and us trying to imitate what they're doing. And I can remember Angel, we were opening up, the rapper we danced for was opening up for Rob Ace and Easy Rock. And Angel had just gone up to New York. I think he had went to the Red Zone. And my mom dropped me off, and I was going to, my mom dropped me off, and then I would get out the car and get with Angel, and Angel would drive me.
So you were still a teenager at this time?
Yeah, man, totally. And Angel's like looking like at the car, like he's staring at the steering wheel. He's just shaking his head like, dude. Now this dude is the best fucking dancer in my world. There's nobody better than the fucking man that's sitting in this fucking seat next to me. And he looks like perplexed. He just saw like somebody pull a skull out of the middle of their chest. Like, he's like, man, I saw these dancers in New York at this, I think it was Red Zone. I'm not sure, but and he's now on the names alone. I'm like, what? Like, what kind of name? Cricket. But I'm hearing names. He's like, just a dancer named Peter Paul, Voodoo Ray, Stretch, Ejo. And he's naming all these dancers. He's like, they're in the Mariah Carey video and all this stuff. And I'm like, I worked so much that I never got to watch. Like when Wreck and Shop aired on PBS and stuff, like I was doing art to pay the bills. I just always I had to get a job of some sort to be able to do shit. So I was always working and never got to see a lot of what was going on. Music after a while, first I was able to, see what was cool, but then I started working so much I just didn't have the time. So he's explaining like these music videos. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, man. And then later, I think the turning point was the Chronic album. Around 91, I had been to New York, but I only had gone to the Limelight, which is like a techno club. because by 91, 92, I started working and living in Philadelphia because I was working at a skateboard shop.
So you didn't make it to New York until the 90s?
Yeah. Yeah. And this is like 91. We're literally just going up because the skateboard shop, we're in Philly.
So let me summarize. So the best dancer in your mind at the time was Darren, and he was really
Angel and Darren. Because Darren lived in Philly, I didn't get too much. And, we didn't dance.
And it was either Darren or Angel that was named, referring to the New York dancers.
Angel had been to New York. Okay. And he was the one that had seen like these motherfuckers, not in their prime, but goddamn, I can only imagine seeing like Ejo and Khalif and all these fuckers in the early. I can only imagine. So I understand like why he was just like, I'm fucked up, So Angel was the one informing me about this, and a lot of my energy, the energy that I have, had come from watching Angel and Darren, because they had so much energy and they could dance anywhere. Like, meaning that like they could dance on their hands, they would flip, they could, do footwork. Like they were, I call it land, sea, air. They were land, sea, air dancers. Like there was nowhere, you weren't safe anywhere dancing around these dudes. And when they battled each other, it was like an all night thing. Like you would watch Darren and Angel if they, and I wouldn't even say it was a battle as much as they were pushing each other. They were like the high. I can remember I was battling some dude. It's the first time I saw 90s. And it was a big football player looking motherfucker, man. We're battling and he did a 90 and I'm just like, holy shit. Like this motherfucker just spun on one hand in my face. And I'm like on one knee, just like, Darren literally flips over me into the circle, smashes this dude. And like at one point he did some shit, like he ended up behind the guy on his hands, walking on his, tapped the dude on the shoulder with his foot. Like, it was fucking nuts. And then he like taps me, like gives me dap and then leaves. I was just like, what the fuck? What the fuck is this? You know what I mean? So it's like legendary status shit, man. These dudes were like, and for Angel, this was Darren I'm talking about, but like Angel, I just seen him just do incredible shit, man. Like just, this dude would like, he would do back handsprings in place, but he would do little pikes in it, like just a little pike. And inside the club, because he would do the back handspring and do these little pikes, it looked like he was popping the fucking back handspring.
Wow.
This fucker was sick, man. He was he was already what everybody calls air flares. He was touching on. He was calling them double windmills. He was just
were people like them, Darren and Angel, really good dancers, but they didn't make it like a dance career? Or
here's the thing, like I believe, because if you talk to people around my age, there were dancers like Darren and Angel everywhere. It's just that we were kids. The cutoff was when everybody, I feel like all the dancers that kind of like peaked and then, they just went on with their lives, got married, went off to school. You know what I mean? They're the fuel for us that continued, because we still talk about their stories. They're still like, Angel is still the carrot. Darren is like, I'm still chasing what I saw when I was a kid when.
Are they still around?
Oh yeah. I know my friend Clyde was saying that he saw Darren and Sheldon somewhere. I keep in touch with Angel. I fucking started crying. Like I was in the club and out of the blue on my YouTube channel, I just see somebody's writing and I'm looking, it's Angel, man. And he's talking about how proud he was, like that I'm still doing it. I'm still feeling a little choked up now, but you know what I mean? It meant a lot to me for him to kind of reach out to me, and because that's like I'm still chasing that, and for him to acknowledge like he's proud of me and stuff like that. It's like kind of like your dad being like, I'm proud of you. You know what I mean? So just like all my dance mentors, when you get that pat on the back, it means even if, you know, you're just kind of like this, thank you. But inside it's just like, you know? So like I'd like Keith Brooks, Sean Green, even my friends that helped me along the way, my friend Clyde Evans, Brooklyn Terry, you know, there's dancers that were like key
Yeah.
in my journey.
Let's talk about how things change or what your experience was like once you actually got to New York.
Yeah. So when I was first going to New York in 91, I was going to the Limelight. You know, I was seeing good dancers, but I was wondering, because Limelight is such a Limelight is here. And you know, there were clubs, Palladium is like right around the corner. There's all these other clubs that are close. Because Limelight had so many rooms, I would see different dancers as well as kids that were like club kids and you know, party goers. But I would see glimpses of dudes who did house. But you see them a little while and then they'd leave because the club was open until like the next day. So I didn't get a good feel. And plus I was just having a good time. I'm up here, you know, hanging out, you know, smoking weed, like, you know, seeing dope clothes, hearing dope music and shit like that. But it was during my dark period. All the guys I had looked up to dance-wise just stopped. They grew out of it.
What does the dark period mean for you? Is that like there was an absence of dancers or like a dark emotional time?
Both.
Okay.
Because, and it was, so 92 is when all, you know, everything was kind of dance music-y and free thinker and housey, and then not how, you know, like hip-hop artists were like making club tracks, you know, and then it all shifted around the time the Chronic dropped. And then it became like cool to be a gangster and stoic, and a lot of my friends that had, everybody was in their long hair phase, now went into their shaved head phase and then into their like stoic thug phase. You know what I mean? And I was depressed because all my friends that we would hang out and dance became like hanging out, chilling, you know? And so that vibe, like, it was depressing, man. And at the same time, people are getting married, people are going off to school. All my heroes are just moving on. So it was depressing. But one of my close friends, BJ, who was also one of the dancers, because there was, like, I was a part of a collective of young dancers in that Jersey, South Jersey, Philadelphia area. It was like Todd, Cookie, Clyde, Abdul, who else, man? Oh, God, Guy, Ray, Edgar, like there was, and BJ. So everybody was, who else? Oh, God, I don't want to forget any names, man. I forgot so many names, but Julius. See, I remembered. But so it was a whole, like, and there were thousands of us all over the fucking place. But when that older generation, that generation kind of phased out, it took the smoke out of me, man, because, you know what I mean? And
was it kind of like seeing your dance heroes fade away, and that kind of took the spirit along with them?
Man. And then I just felt like there were dancers in our community. It was like I was looking at I've been an avid comic book reader, man. So I felt like the energy that the generation before us had left behind, I felt like and this is me being a fucking dork or narcissist or whatever, like, you're not using your power correctly.
I heard with great powers comes great
responsibility, man. So I felt like, you know, like how the generation before us kind of, how they used the you know, the energy that they were getting.
Yeah,
I felt
it's like, here's a torch. You gonna let the torch die?
Yeah, man, exactly. So I was just like, I was over it. You know, the fashion had, the spark was gone. And then my friend BJ started going to school. I'm not sure if he was going to school in New York or outside of New York. And when I see him, motherfucker's dancing different. Roberto is dancing different. BJ is dancing different. Roberto's nickname is BJ. BJ's dancing different. And he's telling me, yeah, man, I'm going to, this club in New York, man. And he's telling us about it, me, and I'm telling Clyde, and we're telling Rennie, because at this point I'm in Pure Movement. Pure Movement is now cooking. The dance company is not happening. It's 92. But, we're just training, man. We're just training, going to rehearsal. It's just something to do. So any dancing that I'm doing is just Pure Movement, but I'm not going out anymore.
Where was the source of that training coming from?
Rennie? Oh, Rennie, man. Rennie Harris was a part of a group, an old school, like, breaking and popping crew called the Scanner Boys. So Rennie was the fucking man in Philly at the time. And then when the transition period happened of like old school to new school, Rennie was still dancing, but he was, when I met him, he was working on he was working for a TV show. And he was producing stuff, directing stuff. And I'm paraphrasing, but Rennie, somebody knew Rennie from his days, from his heyday. And Rennie also was a member of Magnificent Force in New York with Mr. Wiggles and
really?
Popping Fable. Yeah, because Rennie was a part of one of the first hip-hop tours, the Fresh Fest. So at one point he had lived in New York. Rennie was that motherfucker, bro, back in the day. But then when, that shift happened, when it became like breaking and popping and locking isn't cool anymore, he transitioned to doing something else. But he had still had a reputation. And somebody had came to Rennie to do a theater work. And that's what started him down his path. I ended up being one of the dancers he had hired on. So we were to me, it was an extension of the evolution of what I do. I still feel like I'm one of the luckiest motherfuckers on this planet because I've just been doing the street shit and getting paid. So Rennie showing me or showing us that, you can tell stories on stage using our art form was just like, oh, okay, just another fucking dope ass outlet for this fly shit. Dose number 4, drug number 4. So, I'm in Pure Movement. I'm not really into the scene in South Jersey, Philly as much. We go up to New York and BJ brings us to the Sound Factory bar. And now it's like all of us, members of Pure Movement, BJ. I think BJ's partner at the time, Christine. We go to the club and we end up battling some dancers. It's Shan S, Quick, members of the Step Fenz, Ricochet, Ricochet's dance partner, I forgot his name. Oh God, we got shitted on, bro. We got shitted on so bad. Holy shit. Rennie was yelling at us the whole way home. Bro, I was so scared. So if you see the Sound Factory bar, there was a stage. There were like a stage and then a couple of pillars in the speaker. Bro, I was like plastered to the wall. And if you tried to grab me, I'm like, get off me. Get off me. I was just like, bro, I'd seen shit. I had never seen anybody do over like 4 or 5 90s. Cyclone did like 9 and then ended in a hollowback. Hollowbacks. Never saw him before. This motherfucker never saw a hollowback before. Seeing Cyclone do a hollowback after doing like 9 90s. Bruh.
When Odie was on here, in his vocabulary, the moment that he describes that you might be feeling in that observation of something miraculous is he says it felt like looking at a dinosaur. You're like, what,
yeah, bro.
He's like, what did I just say?
What the fuck is going on? And it's like fear, it's excitement. You're just like, but it was the same fear and excitement I had when I was in the club as a teenager.
Oh, so it came back.
Dose number 5. So then I felt like a smacked ass because it was like, I was just like, Miss Twist comes out. She does like flares in the floats. So it's like now we're seeing Breakin now. Breakin is coming back, but in the clubs. I personally think that like, okay, I'll get into Step Fiends, my crew Step Fiends, but I'm seeing them. You know, we're just, and I'm seeing New York house, New York house dance. Like, and when I say New York house dance, I'm saying that every city in America has a different approach to dancing to dance music. The popular, like what we call house dance, is the New York paradigm of house dancing, because the dance name comes from Chicago, but what we say is like house dancing is what it was done in New York. That New York shit that was being developed in New York to dance music. But technically, you know, house dance and house music the name comes from Chicago. So technically it's like what they're doing to it is house dancing, you know. But what we do, what we call house dancing is, and this is I don't know, this is how I see it. The New York paradigm is what we adapted to. Because when I met Mikey's like, yo, we call this shit housing. This is what we do to house music. And then when you go to talk to dancers in Texas, this is how we approach. You talk to Mario, Rudy Rex, and these guys, you talk to them and they're going, this is how we dance. We were all inspired by the media. The media is a huge component of like music videos, TV shows, what we saw, you know, but beyond that, it starts to evolve into its own thing. Their own little things of like, okay, this is how they house dance in Atlanta, or this is how, you know what I mean? But New York has such a rich culture when it comes to movement and music. And
there's also a lot of diversity there, right?
Hell yeah, bro. Yes.
That brings out the origins.
Yeah. And dude, it's like when we start to talk about New York, and this, so I am like I am super blessed to come to New York at the time that I did. You know, Mike Clark, who also does a pod that I did, you know, he's the one that really nailed it. He goes, Cricket, we're so lucky because we were in that generation that was in the clubs when all the generations were in the club at the same time. The dancers in that generation that we call lofters, like not all of them went to the loft, so we can't call them lofters. You know what I mean? Until that generation, because there's a lot of fighting on, you know, should it be called lofting? Is it called freestyle? You know, that's not for me to say. But that generation, you know, was laying down the ground, because here's the thing. You look at some dancers that dance at the loft and their movement is different from dancers that you see that went to Studio 54, that went to the Funhouse. But all of that movement is fucking nasty. Holy shit. Like, you know, my thing was, and I'm still like pestering a lot of people, is like somebody has to write these stories down. Somebody has to document this stuff, because the movement history of New York in that period, it's insane.
If anybody wants to come on this podcast and talk about it, please do.
Please make that shit happen. Because, and even me speaking to Marjorie, God rest her soul, she said, Cricket, there were thousands. Before, when her generation came to the club, she was like, it was already established. There was already motherfuckers just killing that shit, doing it. You know, just like I would say, I was just blessed to be that generation. Just, you know what I mean? You just get blessed to be brought in at a certain period to carry that torch.
Yeah, I imagine the feeling that being in that time period and that place might have been like, it reminds me of that the movie Tap with Sabi and Glover, and then being around all the OGs, and just imagine that. Yeah. That's how I felt. And
again, now we go back to the first drug of, I'm now in a place where I don't care if I'm good or bad. I'm just in it. I'm back in the pool again. And again, it's going back to, I'm not hearing this music anywhere else. People are dressed differently. Fashion is different. You know, I'm learning new slang. I'm like, just, it's like, and I got blessed enough to meet Brooklyn Terry Wright. We met at the Sound Factory bar, and he was literally like my God. He would, you know, he would tell me who Khalif was, who Marjorie was, who Brian was. He was the dude that was this, because people didn't talk back then. Nobody talked in the clubs. I didn't hear Shan S. And if you ever hear Shan S and Ejo talk, their voice, you know what I mean? Their voices, they got these dope sonic voices. Ejo sounds like a disc jockey. So does Shan S. Sound like disc jockeys. But if you don't, I don't know. I'm like, for a year, literally.
Somehow when Ejo or Shan speaks, they can say like 2 words and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, dude, they got so much bass in there. But when you hear them talk for the first time, you're like, oh, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that. But because we would just nod to each other on the floor for years. And after,
you know what? Like I noticed that when the music is really good, which I assume the music was really good in those places, right?
Yeah, man.
When the music's really good, I don't want anybody talking to me.
There it is.
I don't want anyone talking to me. I don't want any conversation. I just want to hear the music.
Yeah.
And I literally like stopped conversation midway because the song was so good that I just turned my head towards the DJ. I'm like, I can't.
There it is, bruh. And it was all night like this. And again, we're talking about, I'm in New York. Like, the music history, the movement history, it was intense. Because now I'm hearing songs I had never heard before. But I know they're old. But I never heard these songs before. So it's like me coming to New York was a music education, physical education, fashion education on multiple levels. And it's I love it because my brain is just like, every aspect of my brain is occupied. And it became so intense. And at the same time, Puremovement is now blowing up. The dance company's blowing up. So, I had a routine. Go to work, go to rehearsal, go to New York, hang out, and then like it got interrupted because now I'm going on tour. So it's like somebody snatching you away from your home. So it was like, yeah, I'm going on tour, but damn, I'm going, because at this point, New York is still a special place. It's like a Shangri-La, dude. There's nothing like it. By this time, me and BJ and his partner Christina we're all in Step Fenz now. So now we're in this crew. Terry's in the crew, Mike Clark's in the crew, Cyclone, Tony Bones, Rondé, Steve, Rick, Ray, Colleen, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm ecstatic and I don't want to leave. And this is the most fucked up part. Every time I leave and come back, they're evolving. They're just getting better. There's new moves, new steps, new fashion, new everything. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Terry's literally looking at me like, what are you talking about? I'm like, why is everybody dancing like this now? He's like, what do you mean? I was like, you're just doing stuff different. He's like, man, you think you're too much, man. I'm like, because they were living it. They're living it. So they can't, they're in it. They're in the swarm. So this was the beginning of me and my book. I would literally, so I could remember everything that was going on. And I was learning breaking and house at the same time. You know what I mean? So it's like information, so much information. And I want to, like, I'm trying to remember I want song titles. So I would come into the club with a notebook and just write down shit. I would just write down moves, write down just anything so I can remember. So when I go on the road, I can keep up with everything. That habit came from, I got hurt when I was like 23 or 24. I got hurt right when I first started going to New York. And Angel, I can remember talking to Angel, because Angel used to get hurt all the time. This motherfucker would come to the club with a cast on and still kill it. He's like, yo, man, like if you're hurt, just keep notes so you don't remember, so you don't forget your moves. And it started with just one little fucking piece of note paper that I just wrote all my moves on. And now I got like shelves of like notebooks of just dance notes. But it started with Angel telling me, hey, why don't you write down your moves so you don't forget it while you're hurt? But then that turned into my black book, and my black book turned into multiple notebooks. And now I just, Yeah.
So you mentioned being shown in, I guess, a dance scene or house scene back then, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk more about like the culture aspect and how a battle might be different than a contest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
It's funny.
Because like I think a lot of people accessing the dance now may not be fully aware of the culture aspect and where it comes from.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
Culture is king, bro. I mean, but here's the thing. I want to, before I get it. I get it. Like with battles and contests. If I was in this generation, I would be doing what they're doing. Because there is no club culture set up. It's just not.
Yeah, I think that's a good distinction to make because you could say just go to the club, which might work in New York, but it's not going to work in another city or another country.
But New York isn't what it used to be in that sense.
That part is true too.
Yeah, because you got to think. Go to the club, but go to the club. That motherfucker isn't. That club is not closed. The club is open from 11 to 11. Time-wise, how time affects the movement, how the sweet spot of 3 a.m. to 10 a.m, how you relate, how your body relates to the music, how your movement changes, how the choices you make start to define the dances, because now it's like the runners that run distance, like your technique has to be on point. There's certain aspects of your technique, your breathing has to be on point. If not, you won't make it. These are things that informed us dancing from about 4 to like 10. That window that's when it gets into your bloodstream. That's when it gets into your bone marrow. That's when it becomes instinctual. You can't even, you know what I mean? That's where that smoothness comes in, because you want to touch that song so bad. This ain't going to fly no more. Now it's like, I just want to get some. I just want to get some. And you're like heaving. I can remember standing on the floor. I got nothing left. All I got is this. But then that informs everything going forward, But I get it. I get it with these dancers where they don't have the club. And they like the social system of I want to be a part of something, and to be a part of something, I want to be a part of the social hierarchy. And it's like, I am nothing unless I win a battle to these kids. And it's hard to tell them no, because that's their world. Like, I could be somebody.
So how could the club elements be either shared or preserved?
I think it's everybody being creative and this is one thing I love about breaking. And it's just opinion. Some people might be like, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. I feel like breaking exists in a way that the big battle, the dancers that choose to do the big battles and the big comps, and the dancers that just want to cipher, and just, don't do the big battles. They have mutual respect for each other. They coexist with each other and feed each other, in a sense. You know what I mean? There's some dancers that like, I got a good job and stuff. I don't need to do the battles. There's some dancers who do battles like, this is my fucking bread and butter, homie. And I can't get mad at them because, I was doing that in a way. I got to live off of doing theater, street dance in theater. That's how I made my living. Some dancers probably looked at me and were like, this is fucking bullshit. So I get it. But it was like, I don't want to do a normal job. There's some younger dancers like, I don't want to do a normal job. So if doing breaking battles or whacking battles or house dance battles is how I put food on the table, I can't get mad at them. It is a thing that opened up. Now, I feel like the social cultural aspect informs, should help inform. I feel like, again, this is my opinion. The starter kit in breaking is fucking awesome.
Tell me about it. So what's the starter kit?
If you come into breaking You come into breaking, they tell you these are your anthems, and this is what you do when you hear this music. This is how you dress. These are your basic fundamentals of these are your basic fundamentals, and this is how you compose with them. Your composition, top rock, footwork, freeze, style freeze. You know that's like your commas, and they teach you. And then what else? And then like how to act. This is how b-boy or b-girl acts. Bang. So that's 5 off top that they give you. They put in your little fucking knapsack and then push you out into the world. And then you come back and they, oh yeah, keep doing that. You're able to find yourself through that. Like, some of the best breakers in the world come through that. You don't have to go to class. But the B-boys and B-girls who figure it out on their own, they rough it and figure it out on their own, they help advertise for the classes. So I see you're a dope B-boy, and I go, damn, this dude's dope. But, I'm not in the areas where I have access. You just average, because now I'm going, damn, I saw this motherfucker get busy. I need to know, where's the fucking closest breaking class at? So there's this, in my opinion, there's this like ecosystem.
Would you call it like a life cycle?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say life cycle.
Like one thing leads to another.
Yeah. But they're kind of like, it's like an ecosystem where it's like this begets this, and it keeps going and keeps going. Like
water to air to gas to air.
Yeah. But they all support each other. And then, this dancer moves on to this, or this dancer that takes class can go, okay, I don't need class anymore. Or I want to stay in class. And I think that, I don't think those B-boys had that intention. The OGs that just cultivated that. I don't know what when I've talked to some of them, it's very clear that they had, I think it was because out of all the street dances, breaking was super ostracized at one point. Like you couldn't do it without being considered uncool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. Like there was a point when breaking went out of style, it went out of style hard.
Oh yeah, I didn't know. I knew to some level that was true for popping.
Yeah,
but I didn't hear that for breaking.
Oh yeah. And Rennie bore the worst of that, man. He would come into clubs and pop and lock and break. They would be like, "Get the fuck out of here with that old shit." For real, like when in my age, when around 90, if you came dressed like. Because you have the uniform of a popper, the uniform of this is what I mean by you in those early days, and this is street culture in general, or like culture in general. You knew somebody that was in the goth music, you knew somebody in the skateboarding, you wore what you dressed it. You could just black, white, fat, yellow, green, purple. That motherfucker listens to hip hop. That motherfucker listens to backpack hip hop. That motherfucker is a beat. You knew how somebody was dressed, what they were into. You know what I mean? And if you came dressed like an old school B-boy in the 90s into a circle, it was like, the fuck kind of, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So, dude, it was like, so if you held on to those thingies, you had to really love it. So I feel like when they passed it down, like when breaking started to come back, it was a lot of love passing it off. Because it already got milked for everything it had, people had dumped it to the side. So when you came into breaking, man, any OG that you met in breaking would just give you. They were just so giving, know.
Yeah. One of the reasons why I'm really curious about the social aspect in the culture is shout out to Linda from New York.
Yeah.
She was overseas for a particular event, and then she was saying that during the contest, everybody was there watching the battles, right? Mm-hmm. But when it was time to dance and Carrie Chandler was playing, everybody left.
For real?
Yeah, and she was dumbfounded. Like Carrie Chandler is playing, and everyone just leaves.
Oh yeah,
and he was just playing to the empty floor.
But
so I'm not necessarily saying that one is better than the other. But I think there's a piece of information that's missing that maybe could be unpacked somehow,
Yeah, I think, man, when you think about when you see the change over that, I can't expect I think, if clubbing, like the club styles went, okay, like let's look at whacking. When whacking came back, it was kind of almost in the same boat as breaking, in a sense where it was just gone. And when it came back, people were like loving it. And the teachers were giving you, like Tyrone, there were many others, but I just know because I was closest to Tyrone. When he taught you, you weren't just getting moves. You were getting moves, culture, how to compose. You were getting a backpack full of things and then sent on your way. I think with house, because we were spoiled in the sense of it never quite went out of style. So if you were industrious enough, and at the key period where it was getting popular, the clubs were still popping. So you could still kind of, get your steps and go to the club, and then get informed on all that stuff. But at the same time as it's becoming popular, the clubs are closing, the clubs are shrinking, but it's still gaining popularity in like Japan and in little parts of the US, in Europe. You know what I mean? So this is, and at the same time, the street dance competition is rising. You know what I mean? So all these factors are affecting how house dance is moving forward. You know what I mean? I can only say the factors that made culture, that started taking culture out. But for me, when I saw more and more cultural aspects being taken out, I fell back. It would make me fall back more and kind of want to preserve as much as possible. Also, Byron was another, the one of the originators. The session that I was running, he did before me, but there were always, Mike Clark did a session, Shan S did a session, and Lord only knows, if you talk to them, they'll probably say there were other people, that were doing sessions, but the session was a way to keep the cultural aspect, cultural aspects of the dance, how to hold on to them. You know what I mean?
Would you feel like it's from the information not being available as readily accessible as, say, battles and contests are, as far as like media coverage? Or would you say that like in the theme of things phasing out, it's just not as cool anymore?
It's easy to just go, I just want to do cool shit. Kids, youth, man. It's okay. So in my crew, and not like the crew that I became a part of, Step Fenz, we shared information with each other. I was from, South Jersey, Philadelphia. They gave information to me. The generation before me, Angel and Darren and Shelton, even Rennie, they gave information to me. It was like this pass down system. When I formed my own separate crew called Crazy Natives, it was for me to pass down. And then what helped reinforce that was when I started breaking, I get an information passed down. When I'm in the house clubs, all the older dancers are just giving. So for me, it was very natural to give, but...
So would you say that one of the themes of the culture is lineage?
Each one teach one, bro. Street shit. Skateboarding, street art, any of the and when I say street shit, it's like all the non-formal art forms that are popular now. You need and when I say mentor or teacher, I'm being like that. It's hard to put a word to it, man, because they're life teachers. Angel was a life teacher for me. Rennie Harris was like, they taught, like Sean Green, everybody I named, it went a little beyond mentor. It went a little beyond teacher. They were like, I can't, like, it's just, it's torchbearer. Like, it's just hard to put the words, what we in the culture do for each other. Because that's, so, when we get into classes, it's hard to do that for like 30 people, man. You know what I mean? 20 or 30 people. I think what's special about Japan is because they were some of the early learners of the technique, of the form and technique. So they were getting, a lot of their OGs learned how we learn. They hung out in the club and danced with us. And that's why, like, Japan, they're really advanced with the house stuff. And for me, learning how to break down the steps and stuff, I gained a lot of information by looking at the Japanese dancers, because everybody here, we're living it, we're doing it. But then watching Japan, because they were doing so many routines.
And wasn't it Ijo, the one that brought it over there?
I think it was Ijo and Ray.
Okay.
Ijo and Ray. I don't know. He's going to be in California next week, but in LA, it'd be dope if you could go down to him or
Ijo,
kidnap him and bring him over.
Yeah, you know what? I reached out to him. He's supposed to come on the show, and he agreed to come on, but I'm having a hard time getting a response recently. So hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, no, he's good, because he called me and told me he's coming. I'm moving next week, so. But if we got to go into a hotel room, we can like dose his drink. He just like, hey man, I want to get some tea, and he blacks out. He wakes up like, where am I? Like, hey, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, yeah, we'll formulate a starter kit after this, right?
Oh my God, can you imagine?
Take Ijo to work day.
You wake up like, hey, welcome to the podcast. You're like, where the fuck am I? Call the police. Oh, so where'd you start dancing? Somebody call the cops.
You know what? Like, knowing what little I know of Ijo, I bet he would just jump right into it and just go then.
It'd just be like, oh, all right, here we go. Oh my gosh. But yeah, man, I think, me and my friend Miri, we're talking about it, how certain factors play into how street dance changes, from country to culture. And I kind of boiled it down to, I know how I thought when I was a kid and when things were new to me. And when I was kids are assholes. You know what I mean? I miss when I was, because you don't know shit, but you think you know everything. So you're an asshole. So I can identify, like, with a lot of my students, when they say and do certain things, I'll go, I remember when I was there. I remember when I thought I knew. So, because you don't have life experience to base anything off. You just know what you have here. So culture sometimes is like, the fuck, bro? I just want to win this fucking contest, dude. I just want to do cool shit. You know what I mean? And plus, we're explaining it. I was fucking there. I don't need explanation. I was there. I smelt it. So you're trying to explain culture to somebody whose whole identity is being based on winning. And here's something to think about. You know how you have dance parents? Somebody who's like, you got to win this baseball game or you got to win this dance recital. That shit is going down in Asia, bro. But with parents on so you're going to win this popping battle.
Oh, really? It's like that now?
Yeah, now it's been like that, dude. Some of these kids, it's like their parents are looking at them like, you're going to win this goddamn dance battle. So it's hard to talk culture around somebody whose parents are looking at them like, we're going to win this battle, right?
That's a really good observation and a good point. I never considered that there might be helicopter parents for dance battles.
Look at my face. It's going down, son. Yeah. And even you have, the helicopter parenting, then you got the studio owners. You're a kid that's going to my dance studio. You're repping my studio. This battle's up. You repping the brand, son. What's up? You know what I mean? It's going down. And the thing is this, it's not a like, it's not a dislike or a like. It's me going, this is a factor. This is a factor. Some people who own not clubs. Some people who own dance studios, some of them if, some of them are about culture. Some of them are about winning for the team. It's a balance. I've taught at many. I've taught at both. I've taught at people who are just riding who are like, I'm teaching culture, but we got to bring, and it's like, it's not win for ego. It's win because if you win, then our studio is known as the winning studio. We'll get more people. Commerce.
Business, yeah.
Yeah, business. And, this is one thing I was talking about with Mary Park about how economy has factored in and changed our culture for the bad and for the good.
Yeah, the other side I can think of is dancers typically don't drink as much as non-dancers. So there's...
When you said drink, I was not thinking about water.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm sure dancers can drink a lot, but the dance crowd nowadays, maybe it was different back in the 80s, 90s, but I know it's the dance crowd nowadays.
Oh, we love water.
Yeah, like don't buy as many drinks as like the non-dance crowd. So
exactly.
From a business standpoint, I don't know what to do about it or what can be done other than it's just a fact,
Yeah. You have to think about, from what I can remember, we were the dancers list. Okay, so we're coming out of the 70s and 80s of the mega club. Like, our club is the fucking best. We've got, there's a drag queen in the front, like glammed out with a clipboard going, no. Yeah, like, because it's like we want the flyest people at our club. So our club has like, oh my God, this club has the best this and best that.
Would you happen to know if there's any context behind that song? Excuse me, miss, there is no guest list tonight.
Yeah, that happened on a regular basis, dude. And the whole thing is this, you joke, we're joking, but that could make or, because if you piss off the wrong door person, you're never getting in. You're never getting in. So you have to be like, don't catch an attitude with the wrong motherfucker, bro, because your ass will never get into that club.
So let me ask you this: like earlier, you gave me the starter kit of Breakin, right? Mm-hmm. So what's the starter kit of the culture side of
house?
This? Yeah,
it's the same. It is the same thing. Whereas, I would say Terry would be my guide. He kind of showed me. Like, and when I say Terry showed me a step, he just danced with me. And through that, I figured that out. And then when certain anthems, when certain call and response things would happen, I'd look around, everybody's doing it, Terry's doing it, so I'm doing it. And Terry would, you know what I mean? I'm looking at him. And the thing is, I'm from the generation of, you gotta work for this shit. I'm looking at how everybody's dressed. So I'm figuring out, okay, this is how you know what I mean? With breaking, they kind of it was of the era, because the way that like the B-boys and B-girls dressed, it was from the era. The same music that the early breakers were dancing to, it's the same music that the freestyle dancers that we call lofters, they were dancing the same shit. But like culturally and socially, there were differences happening. So what the breakers did, they kind of just told us this is how, like when they would pass it down, this is the music we listened to back then. This is how we dressed back then. These were the cultural. So I was just lucky enough to, when I got to New York, I was in it. It wasn't a thing where I had to like the way they had to tell me this. I was able to look around and extrapolate.
So during this time period, or was it possible to be a spectator versus a participant?
Oh yeah. But how do we define spectator? Spectator meaning that like you were in the culture. Now I feel like they're spectators, and it's not their fault. It's easy to just go, okay. But back then, bro, I can remember being in the club, and it would be like you would see famous people dancing right next to you, and you really didn't care. You'd see Wesley Snipes just dancing right next to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the closest I come to that is actually at Deep in LA. Mm-hmm. I saw Prince walk right by me. Yeah. Like ain't no thing.
Yeah, that was just normal in the club. You know what I mean? Somebody would just show up and just get busy. It wasn't to even stop because they were in it. You were in it. They were in it. And so you were in the pot. Now I think it's pretty easy to be, the culture isn't what it used to be. So it's easy. And because everybody's learning in class, when everybody's learning in class, it's easy to just ask questions and not jump in and figure shit out. And
so there's like more spacing between your growth and like the embodiment of it.
Yeah. And I think like Bravo is really good with getting people out of their heads.
How does he do that?
He just like, he will like do spontaneous things. He just will jar you. He will not let you think. Because it's like that shit is getting in the way. Like he'll yell, he'll scream, he'll dance with you, he'll move, he'll like whatever he has to do to get you, out of this. Like, I'm trying to intellectualize it. I'm trying to. So is it this? He's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm probably like, I don't give a fuck. Just dance, motherfucker. Like you know what I mean? And it's true. Like, get out of your fucking way and jump in and use that part of your brain that if you were dropped in the forest, you're not going to sit there and go, okay, you're in motion figuring it out. Sometimes when you try to like ask too many questions, it just gets in the way. As opposed to asking the question, trying to answer it, learning from your mistake. You know what I mean? I tell people all the time, you gotta make mistakes. You can't, if you're coming into this art shit trying to be perfect, you'll drive yourself up the wall. But perfection is like an exit sign. You'll pass through perfection and then you got to go back in, and then you're back on the highway, and then you pass through perfection again, and then you go through you know what I mean? Makes sense?
Yeah. So you're talking about basically being okay with being a disaster before you become the master.
You have to. And even mastery, it's just a path. It's a pathway, because you're still in this, and it becomes this, and it's a path. And even the point where we're at with house dance culture, it's a bad thing, but it's a good thing, because it means that it's coming back. It's going to come back. People are going to look around and be like, something's missing.
Yeah. So when you went to overseas for some events, right? What was your experience over there like?
I was surprised, because I thought it was going to be far worse than it was, that I imagined it to be.
Okay, so far worse in what areas?
I just thought that people weren't gonna. I thought that whole party aspect was not going to exist, and it totally exists. I think it's a thing of, I think a lot of the dancers and some of the teachers don't know how it connects. Because when I went to SDK, there's a fucking party every night. Motherfuckers were partying. I was like, oh, motherfuckers know what this shit is. But it's like, how do a lot of teachers never went about, because they were given these steps. This is house. These are the steps. These are the things. And then it was like, go to the club and figure it out.
So you're basically saying like someone was given a textbook and they stayed textbook versus
yes,
keeping it real world.
Yeah, because if you notice, the OGs always say the same. Oh my bad. They always say the same thing, which is, you take the steps, go to the club, figure it out. But that was totally possible in the 90s, going into the early 2000s, because we still had, Shelter was still open, Shelter was still open till the morning. There were still places, like, I would say some of the dancers that I know from overseas that were able to go and get this information, like Baba, Yuksun, Shuho, Hero. I can't say, because Hero was in it early. I'm talking like that, like 2000. Hideki. There was that, like, right when Shelter just became this, like, right before it stopped being at Club Speed. You know what I mean? When it was still open till the morning.
How does it feel to see New York change so much?
It hurts, man. Yeah. It hurts. But, it is what it is. I know it's happening somewhere else, but it's just, you miss it, man. That's why, like, I had no problem
Are there still spaces to go in New York?
Oh yeah, there's all. Listen, if it ain't going to happen in a club, it's happening outside. There's parties constantly happening. I was like that spirit of New York will never leave. It's, you know.
Yeah, I think one of my fondest parties or events in New York is the Fort Greene parties.
Oh yeah.
Fort Greene. I also got to check out some, like, I don't want to call it random, but it wasn't in a venue that I usually associate with a club, right?
Uh-huh.
It seemed to be like someone's house it might have been Brooklyn or somewhere else. Forgot which pocket it was in, but it seemed like the venue was in someone's house that was converted into a club, and I think it wasn't officially a club, but it was like one of those, hey, just come inside and have some fun.
Yeah. But that's how it all started. Yeah. That's how it started at David Mancuso's Loft. That's how rent parties. It you know what I mean? House parties. That's the antithesis of all this shit, man. Is the house party. And this, when you were asking about how do you start dancing or how did it, we just were always dancing. If you weren't dancing at school or dancing here, you were at somebody's house. So like that's why I was like, dancing was your ticket socially.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely something unique I noticed about New York. At least I haven't been to Jersey that much, so I can't say that. All right, but New York's definitely a lifestyle thing, and not just a classroom thing.
Oh yeah. But you know, there's a reason why like Electric Boogie, that was like the version of popping that came out of New York. They were imitating what was going on out here on the West Coast. Electric Boogie, that freestyle dance that was going on downtown, breaking, and then Weibo, and all this stuff was happening. Some of these dancers, they were going to all the same parties. That information spread was happening. And some of these dancers were in the clubs, or this dancer would hang out with a bunch of dudes that were dancers that were breaking. Like this information, some dancer, breaking was a kid's dance. So, you know, everybody touched breaking. So when they got older and started doing this, that information is trickling in. They're like, the information trail in New York is crazy. And then what happens? You got all this information from hip hop dance to dance hall, and these things change and become flexing, and these things change and become light feet and become, you know, it's a reason why New York keeps all these new street dances keep coming out, because they're just building on top of each other. And the same thing is happening in other cities. You know what I mean? Where it's like Chicago footwork becomes this, and JIT it becomes this, and then Crump is happening out here, and then these things, man. Like
so in the theme of talking about changes, progressions, or evolution, and I guess we can include standards into that topic. What are your thoughts on like the standards in house dance, right? Because I've seen some clips of Ejo overseas, and it looked like even though Ejo was in this particular event, it seemed like he was giving a workshop towards whoever was dancing at him in the battle, in the sense that he seemed like, hey, this is how you stay on beat, you know?
Bruh, can I tell you?
Yeah, tell me.
I use this motherfucker's battle clips to teach my class.
And that's really why I'm like very excited for when Egypt comes on the podcast, because one thing I really want to ask him about is dance harmony. Is the difference between being musical and just being on beat, right? Because that's a lot of people that's being on beat, but when contrasted with Ejo, I was like, hey, that guy is musical.
And here's the thing, man.
Yeah, so like, what are your thoughts?
It's New York, bro. It's New York.
What does that mean, New York?
So, I read an interview by David Mancuso was being interviewed, right? He is the germ, the start of dance music culture that becomes house music. He's the germ, right? He made a statement about there's a third eye, the third ear. The third ear, bro. Like, I danced everywhere, street dance wise. I've traveled through Rennie. I, grew up doing it. But when I got to New York, motherfuckers listen to music. Like Terry, hanging out with Terry and Mike when I first got to New York, the way so you know how it's like you're listening to a song. Okay, I'll use a circle for example, and then because it's easy. There's dancers dancing in a circle, and you're cheering for the obvious things like, oh, they did this, yo. So, but imagine your friends next to you. They're cheering for what you're cheering for, but then they're cheering for other things. And you're like, what the fuck? They're going, yeah! They're going crazy. You're like, what was that? What did I miss? And then they're cheering for what you're cheering for. So it's like, I'm not crazy. It's not, but they're cheering for what I'm cheering for. And they're cheering for these other things. So now when they cheer, I'm looking for what is it that they're cheering for. That's what happened to me in New York musically. There were things that I would get excited for, everybody would get excited for. But then there were these things in the music, I'd be like, why is everybody so hype? What? There'd be things that all the dancers would hit in the circle musically. And everybody would go crazy. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? Like, why is everybody so excited about that? So that's what I mean by like, it's hard. It's easy to look over that because when I was teaching house at the university I teach at, one of the teachers, she goes, house is so delicate. She was, it's so complex and so delicate. There's so much as opposed to all the other street dances. And I can say that it's the same thing is happening in the other forms, but in house, it's you have to walk that line super tightly. Because if this same step exists in hip hop and exists in these other forms, but if you do it just one thing this way or one thing this way, it becomes something totally different. So like New York had a way of teaching me how to listen to music totally differently. It's like I used to, and now I do it. And I used to, I think there was songs that would come on or certain things that would happen musically, and some of my New York friends would just stop dancing. I'd be like, what? They'd be like, I'm not. They would just not be into the song, and they would physically like just be like, I'm not dancing to this, or just be like, I'm not. Or they would say things, I'm not feeling this song, and I'd be like, what the fuck, yo. But now my ear has become so accustomed. I've got that third ear. So now I'm that motherfucker. So now I'll stop dancing. People look at me like, what the fuck is wrong with this? I'm like, I'm not feeling this shit. You know? So I get it. If people look at me like an asshole, but it's like, it's New York's fault.
Yeah. So like, what would you say is the impact of, I guess, this contrast, especially when there's like a default to maybe the crowd picking who is the winner, you know? And the crowd, I can see how it makes sense, but I also see so many other fields that don't use crowdsourcing, right?
Oh yeah.
For example, you don't pick who's the better surgeon based on the crowd, you know? Like, you know, you just don't, right?
This motherfucker's dead on the table, but everybody's like, "Woo!"
Yeah, you killed it.
They killed that shit. Like you literally.
Yeah, or I guess like a more relatable example is like,
oh my god,
who's the better abstract jazz musician based on crowd?
Yeah,
like I recognize that abstract jazz is like realms beyond my understanding of music, you know?
Yeah.
And so I have no business in even giving my opinion on that, right?
Bro, I'm gonna tell you that my experience doing, it's funny because people, Ejo warned me. Ejo warned me. And it's the thing of somebody could tell you whatever, but until you experience it, then you're like, oh. Like Ejo goes, you'll lose your first one. I was like, what? And I was like, what? And I didn't go in there with any intention to win. But if you look at me, at like one of my rounds, I literally look up and I just start shaking my head because I'm hearing what Ejo said. I'm hearing him saying, I go, oh, fuck, I get it. It's not, okay. It is battles. And and it's like, I fucking know, fuck. It was like, it's a different beast. The circle changes culturally. Dom key. I'm going to switch it up, but I'm coming back. I promise. I'm talking like a teacher. I'm like using examples. I'm coming back. Dom key, brilliant b-boy from Philly. One of my favorite b-boys too, man. Not because he's from Philly. He's so original. He's so dope. I see him. He had just done one of the big battles. And I'm like, because he's like, it's one of the homeboys made it. So I'm like, yo, how was it? He was like, he had this like, I wasn't feeling it. So now I'm watching these big breaking battles. I'm not there. There's no context. I'm just going, I said, dude, why did you always start where you started from? And then you would go all the way across and then dance right in front of your opponent. I was like, that kind of looked whack. He goes, Crick, I can't feel anything. He goes, imagine, and now when he said this, I have context. Imagine being on a stage by yourself. He goes, like, when you battle, you want to feel your opponent. You want to see your opponent. You want to have a target. You want to have a point to put your energy. Like, I'm fucking battling you, motherfucker. He goes, I had just to see. He goes, I had to walk all. He goes, because when I perform and I have a solo and I'm on a stage, my delivery system is different. How I take in input, how I breathe, everything is different when I perform. When I'm battling in a circle and I'm exchanging in a circle, my energy is different. I want to feel energy. I want to like get into that juggling thing. So when he said that, I'm thinking about what Ejo said. Now it's hitting me. Oh my God, this is a different beast. This is a different fucking beast. You could see me just shaking my head, looking up like, fuck. Like, I'm a fucking nerd, bro. Like, I wish I would have known because I could have prepared differently. And that's why you gotta lose one to get it. And it was like, fuck, I get it. I get what this is now. You know what I mean? Because it's different. It's like an exhibition. It's like a presentation. It's a battle, but it's just different. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say either one is good or bad, but me coming from battling in the clubs a lot, you know what I mean? I just, I wanted to feel, hey, here's the thing about battles. When you lose, you learn. But there's a certain way people like, it's like, damn, at least if I lose, I at least want to lose a certain way. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's just a different kind of circle. And I love how Ejo and Khalif won. Their years of winning, it's like, goddamn, the motherfuckers, they won it. Not only did they win it, but Khalif won, he was 100% Khalif. It was 100% pure, uncut, like, oh, this motherfucker is on fire right now. This dude is killing it. Ejo, whoof. His win, but his win at the last one he won, the big one, was all the champions versus each other. That win was crazy. Like, those are the rounds that I show in class. Like because I teach a battle class and also teach a freestyle class. And it's like how can you win? Or how do you show your movement, your movement, but keep outside of the class step? Because the one thing that sparked the way I taught was, how do I move my students beyond the class step? Like, these are the steps you learn in class. And they got names and but it's like, because it's house is hard because you have to put the body movement on top of the steps, on top of the attitude. It's like I said, one of my colleagues saw, she was like, it's fucking delicate. There's a lot happening. There's a lot happening, So it's hard to teach it. So like the steps alone are just like fucking mind, like, ugh. So we're teaching all this stuff that the easiest is to get into your students first, especially because if we go into the nuances, like you go into the club, you're doing like 2 or 3 steps. When you boil down house steps, to me, it's like a couple of, maybe 3 or 4 steps. Everything is very like sidewalk, crosswalk, all that. That's just a bunch of pot de berets, bro. It's pot de berets. It's fucking pot de berets. House is a shit ton of pot de berets. But we have to dress it, because if we come in and just go, we're gonna be in the pot de berets a lot, folks, they go, oh my God, I gotta get the fuck out of here. I want to do cool shit. You know what I mean? Like, we're doing a bunch of pot de berets, it'd be like, but we have to dress it differently. We have to do all these steps, cool steps. People feel like they're getting their money's worth to do a lot of cool shit. But then this, in turn, comes back to bite us in the ass, because now at the battles, it becomes about cool shit, cool steps, as opposed to coming back to like the delicate shit. The delicate shit that Khalif won with. The delicate shit that Ejo's winning with. The nuance, the understanding of the jack, which is space in the body. How do I use space in the body beyond this? Like, hey, look, this is a teaching tool. It's my highest, my lowest. But Ejo just goes high, low, using space. Khalif uses high, low. But it's hard to teach all this. So we have to go, but then motherfuckers stay there for 2 weeks and don't marry it to the feet, which is what the OGs live in. Marrying that shit to the body, to the feet. And here's the crazy part. Still, when you come to New York and you go to these parties and these events, they are masters of it. Still doing it. That's the beauty of New York, beyond the OGs that people know about, which are the members of Dance Fusion, Ejo, Brooklyn Terry. If you go to New York, there are the dancers that these motherfuckers were watching, still out and about, getting it in, because it's still a lifestyle. That's the one thing I miss about New York, is that, I could just, So I guess my reason for bringing it up is not to shit on anybody that's been to these events, because I recognize it's very difficult, right? Bro, but these events are dope. I fucking love summer dance. My experience of like, oh, what the fuck, was me going, fuck, I couldn't prepare for this. But the event, like Linda's experience there, were like Carrie Chandler spun and everybody left. Bro, when I was there, the party never stopped. Holy
Glad to hear that.
fucking shit. We were getting it in. It was like New York shit. I didn't leave until it was like 8 a.m. And I'm leaving like this. Oh shit. I'm gonna sleep a little bit and come right back to party. Bro, during the battle, me, Icy, Malcolm, Icy, Mugwai, Dro, we're all on the side during the battle getting it in. Because the music they were battling to was so dope. So we're looking at the screen and back in the cypher. You know what I mean? I miss that shit. Yeah. That exchange. Not battle, not competition, not I'm trying to one up. This is what I'm doing with my information. Oh shit, that's dope. This is what this is what I'm doing with my information. And we're just exchanging. Not battling. Like, a lot of dancers, they don't understand the difference between, and I think we laid out 4 yesterday, like there is the me and you talking to each other. Like not battle, but exchange. It's about our connection. So if this fucker comes in, it's like, and thinking, oh, this is exhibition. It's like, no, motherfucker, this ain't no exhibition. We're having a conversation. We're having our favorite conversation, because every time I come to the club, I see you. We don't even talk to each other all week. I know when I see you, we're going to get our exchange on, right? And hey, I want to show everybody my cool moves. Get the fuck out of here, right? So then you have a circle that might come out of you love to dance and you're feeling it and you're just in the corner just getting it. And we make a circle around you, not because we're watching the movement that you're exploring. We're like, yo, this is so dope. And this motherfucker comes in, hey, I want to show everybody my cool moves. We're like, get the fuck out of here. Then there is all of us are playing with a concept or a thing. Like we're all playing with handstands. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is what I'm doing with the handstand. Now it's like all of us from in the club. Some of us don't know each other, but we all go. We can all look and go, oh, this is us playing with this handstand. So everybody's going up, playing with handstands. Everybody's going, and then this motherfucker, hey, look how cool I am. It's like, get the fuck out of here, man.
You ever feel that battles and maybe contests don't always make sense for house because it's so exchange oriented and the music is not necessary?
No, all the street forms are exchange oriented.
Yeah.
Every aspect, to me, there might be somebody like, fuck you, Crick, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But to me, it's like I exchange in Cypher in Breakin. I exchange in, like, you know what I mean? It's like, there were house battles at Kilimanjaro. There were, they battle is battle. It's up to us as teachers and the individual to be able to separate it. There can be a commodified version of every street dance thing, but it's up to us to keep the cultural aspect of it, because to me, it's the ecosystem of this supports this. These battles keep the culture, put money into the culture so that people will want to come to the class.
Yeah, actually, I think that's a good point to bring up is the money route, right? Because the reason why I'm so curious about this topic is, and thinking about the standards in house. So if you have somebody like two dancers, one's really like subtle and then musical, and one's possibly offbeat, and the offbeat dancer wins. Yeah, then I think that can create some confusion around what the standard is or who to learn from.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
and well, you got to look at your judges. You got to look at your judges. You have to look at, are the judges being hired because they're popular or something? Like, those are questions that need to be posed to organizers and stuff. But for the practitioner, you know what I mean? It's like, are you going to, and this is happening across the board. This is happening in Breakin as well. Okay. Like across the board, because it's the bread. But I feel like there has to, at least in Breakin, when I hear these conversations, it's like the world. There's the commercial bullshit. There's real actors. And then there's bullshit pretty face actors. We're gonna go save the train. And then there's a motherfucker that will give you that, like, the train. We gotta save the train. You know what I mean? Like, there's people who they are members of my family that love the popcorn movies. Because it's like, yo, I've had a hard day. I don't want to think that much, man. I just want to get some exciting shit. Yeah. And then there's motherfuckers like, I want that deep shit. I want that real shit. Hate to say it, it is happening in street dance now. That is what's happening. We are a victim of commercialization, man. People want the easy shit. People want easy to digest shit. I don't know what, like, I'm and it's why I think there are so many innovators in dance that are like, not in a way they do it. There's so many weekend warriors. I've seen them out here too, in LA or on California, with dancers who are really dope, but they got day jobs. Cause it's like, I don't want to ruin the cultural aspect by getting into selling it. Like, that's the dopest part of me having like a university position. But with Marcus now, I do not have to market myself in circles, because circles are marketing. I don't have to go out and just tear up circles like I used to, because that shit equals work. Battling equals work. That shit is, to me, it's a marketing. It helps with market, whether you know it or not. Because I know that every time I went somewhere and tore that shit up, people were like, oh my God, this motherfucker Cricket. Everybody's talking. So now if I go to an audition or something, they already know this motherfucker, he gets busy. You know what I mean? when I auditioned for Madonna, her people knew, oh, that motherfucker Cricket. That's, you know what I mean? You get that. It is the best way to tearing up circles. Not every circle it was welcomed in. Some, the older dancers in New York had to be like, yo, you bring that shit over here. You take that shit somewhere else. You know what I mean? Or I knew how to come into certain circles. I knew that this circle I can do exhibition shit in. This circle, I have to enter the conversation respectfully. We don't get to teach that. The kids that come from under me, I try my damnedest to teach them that. What they do with the information I teach them, but they can't, if somebody goes, because I get these conversations all the time. I get like Bravo and certain older dancers be like, what the fuck are you teaching these kids? And my whole thing, my getaway is, they're not doing it, but I told them the right stuff. They just ain't doing it, but I told them. I did. That, and you could ask my students. I tell them, I was like, now if you choose not to do this shit, but you can't say I didn't tell you. You know what I mean? So, and that's what's going on with a lot of the teachers as well, where they're telling the students, Ejo gives fucking speeches after class. Sekou gives goddamn master classes after class.
Oh yeah, I definitely got sucked into not sucked in, but I got I'm gonna say it. I got sucked into a Sekou conversation where he just went off for like, and then I think Ejo saw how sucked in I was, and he actually like pulled me out.
Pulled you out the way you're like,
because I think Ejo saw my face, and I was like, okay.
yes.
And Ejo's like, hey, leave these kids alone.
But for free, what you do with this information. You dig what I'm saying? So it's like we can only give but so much, but I feel like a change is coming. There are dancers in Europe. And the thing is, and I have to give it up to my students and peers that were younger than me here in America, because they were the ones. At one point, I was very like, I was in my journey trying to, how do I get the information out of my body, things that the OGs are doing, things that native New York dancers are doing. How do I get that into my students? And then some of my students are going, hey, Crick, there's some dancers in Europe you might want to look at. I'm like, what? Nah, Crick, look at this dancer. I'm like, oh, shit. Crick, look at this dancer. I'm like, oh, shit. Look at this dancer. I'm like, oh, shit. They're listening to what Ejo is saying. They're listening to what Marjorie is saying. They're listening to Sekou. They're listening to Khalif. And I'm seeing them. And I'm seeing dancers that aren't on the radar. I'm like, oh, shit. They're out there. You know what I mean? And now they're starting to get, I'm not naming names because, you know what I mean? I don't want to, but they're out there. And I'm dancing. Now when I go to Europe, the one dancer in particular, I can say, Candyman, holy fucking shit, bro. He's known for locking, but I met him at SDK. I met Alex the Cage. These motherfuckers outside of these battles, they're just great. They're good. Like I met these dudes early in their career and we just danced together, just like I danced in the States. And I'm like, God damn, these are good guys. You know what I mean? Because I thought everything was so battle. And that's when I understood, oh, it's a part of it. There's still dancers that are learning it organically. They're not going to class. They're trying to figure it out how to get it. They're the motherfuckers that are putting on their backpack and journeying and trying to figure it out. They're in Europe too. And there are dancers who are consciously making the choice to be like, I'm going to battle and do it this way. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
So if I understand you right, like I guess maybe this is just an inevitable byproduct of stuff getting commercialized and stuff being more globalized, where you can't really control everyone's intentions or agendas because it's just more people involved. With more hands comes more different outcomes.
There it is. Exactly. And again, I'm saying the same thing that my peer said. She goes, God damn, house is delicate. It's so fucking, and if she's saying it, and she's she's been in here, she's an artist, she's like, God damn, it's a hard form. Such a hard form to like. So if she's saying it, like, and there are young dancers that are getting into this. And if you don't, there's some things we have an innate talent for some, we're just born with, oh, I can juggle, or I can do this, or I can do that. Some just fall into house easily. Like people like me, I had to work to get into this shit. I got Breakin came easy to me, but I didn't love it like I loved house. But the fact that I loved house more than I loved Breakin, even though Breakin came easy to me, it made the work, like, I had to work to become the house dancer I am. I just worked hard. But in me working hard to try to figure certain things out, they became the breadcrumbs that I leave for my students. Because I just had to figure this shit out. I had to rough it, figure out what, like, when I would see Brian do a step, Ejo do a step, Terry do a step, Khalif do a step, I thought those were different steps. Terry's like, what are you talking about? That's the same step. I'm like, how? Oh, you figure it out? I'm like, oh, God damn it, Jesus Christ. So I was like, I had to figure that shit out. You know what I mean? And so now it's for me, and I started looking at it like it's not, oh, my path is that of the breadcrumb creeper. I got the battle thing out of my system battling in Philly because, you know, when I started going to New York, I eventually came back to Philly and I was raining terror on motherfuckers. I was just like, I was the villain in Philly when it came to battling. And so I got it out of my system. You know what I mean? So by the time I eventually moved to New York, my move to New York was I want to figure out stuff. I want to, the same way you all feel about when you watch the OGs. Trust when I say, you see Ejo, it's about 20 Ejos running around New York, man. You see Khalif, it's about 20, 30 motherfuckers that just you don't get to see. But when you go out to the club, you're like, oh, goddamn, that motherfucker got that Khalif shit. There's a motherfucker like Sekou. You know, there's people, you know, they're like parts of these tribes of people who keep this style. So my whole thing was, I want to understand this shit for me. And then when I started understanding it, it was like, okay, now how do I help my students understand this? So I knew that was my path. And I just owned it. So, you know, I became the scout master, trying to figure it out, give it to my students, figure it out, and not. I was like, okay, I'm not into doing the battle thing. That's not my thing. I would get asked to do it and be like, it just wasn't my bag. I got that out of my system. And I didn't have to do it for money because I had, you know, I was making enough money, you know? Mm-hmm. So you got Disco Dave from Jersey, Kyle, Zeb, Sekou, Ejo, and there's many others. Oh, Aaron, Donald. God, there's so many. These are dancers that you would all kind of put in the Ejo-esque category of house. Love to do smooth floor movements. Bravo cleared up a lot of shit because a lot of people were saying, oh, that's lofting. Bravo was like, it's not fucking loft, that's fucking capoeira. What are you talking about? You see what I'm saying? So when you have context, and not to say they're doing capoeira, that movement is inspired by capoeira. So when you see Sekou do Spider-Man, he was always playing like that. He just finally just narrowed in on it. And him and Tony McGregor expanded on it in ways. But I remember Sekou was always playing in that. You know what I mean? A lot of the, Eric. I don't know Eric's last name, but he's another dancer that was bringing in aspects of capoeira into house.
So you're touching on a pretty interesting topic, which, if I'm hearing you right, it's pretty much taking your inspirations or life experiences and making it yours, aka making it original, right? So let's talk about originality and how to cultivate that, especially with the heavy studio culture nowadays.
Yeah. For me,
because like the other day when Mama Stacey was here, he was talking about how before, right, before there wasn't as many rules, so there's like it also comes with more freedom because it wasn't like being boxed into a style. But now I guess maybe it's part of like the byproduct of entering a contest. If you enter a house contest, you have this notion that you got to do house and not have I gotta do steps. I gotta do steps. I gotta do shapes. I tell dancers this all the fucking time. I feel so fucking bad. I feel bad because they have it harder than us.
some of these dancers have it way harder than us. Like, I could sit in 2 or 3 steps all night. I could play around, had my study group or my crew. Like, some of these dancers are doing it by themselves. Their only inspiration is shapes and steps and patterns. They're not in a club. Like, it was so easy for me because I just went out and it was fun. That's why, to practice and train, I had to learn how to do that because it was like if I didn't like the song, I didn't have to dance to it. If I didn't like that step, I didn't have to do it. There's now certain steps you gotta do to win a contest. You have to play in this. You have to. There has to be certain things there's certain criteria you have to do to make it in a house contest. You know what I mean? So it's like, but I didn't have to do that. Some of us didn't have to do that. It's
so you're saying that it was a lot more natural to allow yourself to be and be more original back then, just because of the environment.
Yep, totally. It's harder for these dancers. Harder. It's just as much as it's just harder for them. There's so much on the line. There's so much they got. We were a outcast culture. We were, it was like house, hip hop dance, skating. That was punk rock shit. Hip hop dance was on some punk rock shit. We were the outsiders. We're the weirdos, bro.
Do you ever feel like this culture where these dance styles is turned into a sport?
Huh? I wouldn't say sport. It's got commercialized.
The reason why I think of sport is going back to YouTube, reading the comments. The comments on the different videos, the different battles, I feel like they're very similar to commentary from sports fans.
Yeah,
but oh my god, this person got robbed, or this person should have won, right? And which is where everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But I feel like there's a certain level of noise being generated and not enough signal, because you get enough people saying the same thing, like, oh, this person should have won, but maybe it's enough people that don't know what they're talking about, and then it turns into belief. So it's like a weird thing, right?
That is, but I don't think that's, in my opinion, it's not sport. It's just people not being informed, making.
Yeah. So I guess by sport meaning like there's fans involved, and then there's like a spectating involved, right?
Yeah.
And also there's like more of the hard coded form and less of the like self expression.
Yeah. I sport to me is point system, very like art. It's a league, but with this, it's always happened. Okay. These conversations have always. Now they're just on comments on the. There's always been motherfuckers on the sidelines going, so and so got smoked. You fucking bugging. So and so won. Get the fuck out of here. This dude. You know what I mean? There's always, as far back as I can remember, dancing wise. You know what I mean? There has been that. There has been this sense of like rivalry, and it's just, that's the nature of man. I am better. No, I am better. Gore better. No, it's always been.
Like sometimes when some contestants are like, oh yeah, I won too.
Yeah,
I wonder how many of them actually believe that, especially when it's really obvious that they didn't win. Yeah, it's your okay. So if your experience has been, and I play the devil's advocate all the time because, like I said, I'm a teacher. So at first, if I didn't encounter it a lot, I could be like, "You're fucking nuts." But I have encountered my students saying shit and me being like, "What? Where does that come from?" And then them explaining it to me. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, your experience is based off you're the shit in class around your group of friends. That level is here and the level is here, but you're the shit. And when you do this, they're cheering, and now you're doing this, and this, bro, there is nothing more sneakier to your mind than you step out on a stage and you do this, and the whole fucking audience is like, ah! Did you win? You goddamn right. They're loving it. They're loving what I did. I'm the fucking shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's when you put it in that context, you're like, oh, I get it. Because it's not like you went out there and they were just like, boo, you suck. There's people cheering for you. You're doing your signature shit and people are going, woo. John's on the mic going, oh shit, what the fuck? What's going on?
Hey, you know, I've got all the signals. I fucking won. Because trust me, I've seen battles where I've been like, it's obvious. But check this out. I've been in battles in clubs where it was very obvious that I'm smashing, I'm tearing their ass up, you know? But here's the thing about club battles, that I'm going to punch you over and over again. I'll make you a believer. You gonna know you lost. You can't do that in a minute. 3 rounds, 1 minute. So it's easy for them to walk away in this illusion of, now, many of us can tell this story. Ejo chasing you around and pounding you all fucking night. You know what I mean? Like, you're just like, God damn it. You know what I mean? We could be like, we can all tell the stories like, dancing with Ejo. Dancing, Brooklyn Terry. Like, there are people who can tell this story, so it's like, oh no, I know I lost. But it wasn't like 3 rounds, did you win or lose? It was like, come on. Oh, okay, I went, now come on. Okay, I went, come on. Here's the thing that I've noticed about battles, that it's...
Are you talking about club battles or contest battles?
Contest battles.
Okay.
And I'm gonna use 2 instances, two scenarios that I've witnessed. The one is I am trapped. The I am trapped scenario. Cup 1 goes out and just laid down the illest round imaginable. I have to answer. There's no backing out. In the club, I could be like, ooh, I can back out, I can save myself the embarrassment. But you're trapped. You have to go out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're like, oh shit. So now you're just like, I'm just gonna do whatever I can out there in front of an audience that does not know what the fuck they're looking at. And you're just doing. And I'm like, woo, woo! I don't know what I'm looking at, but this shit looks like woo! So now you're putting points on the thing, or, you know, whatever. So now you know what I mean? So you have that. Then the other thing that happens is another trap scenario. You are a high-level street dancer, right? Everybody, they're all here. But the high-level street dancer is now in the pot. Everybody's adrenaline just does this. Just because that motherfucker walked in the room, everybody's adrenaline's like, this motherfucker, he has nobody to make his adrenaline go.
He's probably barely awake.
Thank you. So he's just looking at, all right, I got to do this. Everybody's looking at this motherfucker like, oh my fucking God.
That exact scenario happened when they were, Brian Green was in San Diego and LA. He just pops up and everyone's like,
there it is,
like brushing up on their loose legs, and Brian's like,
you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So now you put this person in a battle scenario. These motherfuckers are getting the benefit of that dopamine rush of, ah! So this motherfucker's like, this motherfucker's coming out like, I'm about to deliver. These motherfuckers like, I'm dancing for my life. Ah! Ah! And this dancer's just like, whoa. So I had a friend of mine who is he's a high level dancer. And he was just like, he kept losing because he always had to either go first, or like he set the bar all the time for everybody. So it's kind of like, fuck. And I had to tell him, like, dude, the only way, you have to battle everybody like you're battling like a Mike Tyson, like everybody's Mike Tyson. You have to go at everybody. You can't be like, this is because they're battling you like, ah! And you're just battling them. It's like, nah, everybody's Mike Tyson. Because all your rounds have, so that everybody in the room can be like, ooh, why you doing it to him? Ooh, you know what I mean? Because it's the nature of the battle can work against you. You have to look at that.
Yes, sometimes like I think the crowd can easily feed off of the perceived energy level or the aggression, and that can easily sway to, oh yeah, this person's doing really good based on their perceived energy levels. Performance.
So I don't have to perform in a club. You know what I mean? There is a little bit of performance, but it works against you in the club. If I act too like, I got this, people look at you like, what the fuck are you acting like that for? Motherfucker, you still got rounds to go. But that with the lights and the thing that works. That works different. You walk around. doing it. Everybody's like, ooh, it's like WWF, WWE, you know?
Yeah, I won't name any names, but I've seen and heard stories of famous dancers coming to New York, thinking that it was going to be a certain type of welcoming.
Oof.
You probably see where this is going.
Yeah.
And then when they went to a club, it's like nobody gave a F about them, and they were like very shocked. If anything, like people was coming, like people that you only know about or see about was coming after them, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and it was just a normal thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, welcome to New York, motherfucker. Let's go.
Did you ever see that viral clip of this woman who just got to New York? Like, yay, I made it here. I'm in New York. And then someone in the background's like, shut the fuck up. That's welcome to New York.
That is New York. I'm giving memes. We're advertising people's memes. People are going to be like, let's look up. You got to put the link so people can look at it, so I get some context to what they're talking about. Oh, this is very funny.
Let's see if I can find it.
Yeah. Word. Yeah.
We got Byron's Car Wash live from Coney Island. Are you vaccinated? Yes, sir.
I was feeling thirsty. Your mom gave me a gallon of Henny to quench that, you heard?
It's no snow on the floor. He's really skiing in Coney Island on a hard top. What we do in Coney Island, Khalid? Real, son. We keep it real.
Fuck your life. Bing bang.
He had too many shots. You want a shot?
Hey, yo, Ariana Grande, what's up, mama? I'll come to Coney Island, take a spin on the cyclone. I miss you.
Let's see that flip, boy. Yeah. With the yellow foams on.
I have 7 female wives. Go to my Instagram.
What do you want to tell Joe Biden right now?
What's up, baby? Take me out the
Hey, yo. This is the Kim and Kanye of Coney Island.
Hey, Kim ain't got shit on me.
Yo, he got his phone and his balls. Steve Jobs did not die for this.
If you see these dogs in your front yard, just know upstairs I'm going hard. Bing bang.
Oh my God. If that, like, do you see these characters, bro? These are the denizens of New York City, dude. This, you know what I mean? They don't give a fuck about who you are.
Here it is. Here's it. I think I found it.
Oh my God.
Guys, I finally made it to New York City!
Lady, shut the fuck up!
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I love New York. Oh God.
Yeah, so like being a non-native to New York, my experiences there was very true to this. not that anyone told me that, but it's just it's a general like,
Oh
yeah, like do you? But people don't got time, you know.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh God, I miss it. That's one thing I miss, man. But you know it. But it because you have to stay on all the time in New York. You cannot shut off. You're constantly on, and it's a casual on guard. You're not like, but your brain is like this, but you're on some like,
Alyssa the Wacker.
yeah,
Yeah, so she came to San Diego a few times, and she was hanging out with us, right?
uh-huh.
And then during the time, I think I was going to take a nap, and she's like, "Y'all take naps? We don't do naps in New York." That's when I first got like I was made aware of the difference between California and New York, and the possibility that napping might be a local thing.
I mean, I take naps.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but not like out and about. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I will go home and catch a hard 15. You know what I mean? But yeah, you just can't. Oh man, you just can't. You can't get caught out there. You know what I mean? You just can't be caught. You can't be the one. I got caught out there a couple of times, and I've caught people out there. You just don't want to be caught out there. You know what I mean?
Like you mean in the circle, or just
In general. It could be from the circle to in the block. You just okay. I'll give you an example. My friend being caught out there. She's waiting for the train. I gotta give it. I'm gonna say who this happened to, and I'll make sure because it's my friend Emily. She said she was in New York. She had just moved, and she's straight from Colorado, she looks over. She's like, white suburban girl. She looks over and sees like somebody. I don't know if he looked homeless to her, but she made eye contact with him and smiled. He jumped on her back and sucked on her neck. And she's like, like she didn't know what to do. Could you imagine a grown man? You make eye contact and go like, and he's just on some word and jumps on your back and sucks on the back of your neck.
Like I've been told don't make eye contact with the homeless in New York, and that might be why.
Yes.
Yeah.
That again, don't get caught out there. Make eye contact, keep it moving. Do not make eye contact and just go, hi, hey. You invite the crazy.
What are some fun facts about you?
Fun facts? Yeah. I am shorter in person. Yo, if there's one thing that pisses me off, and not pisses me off, like, but people go, oh wow, dude, you're so much shorter in person. I'm like, thank you. Like I'm supposed to go, sweet. What else?
You know who's actually short that don't seem short is Prince.
Bro, I heard he's like 4'11".
Yeah, he's like I didn't. He really surprised me because he appears really tall in his like music videos.
Yeah. Like he's come to comic book stores. Oh, I am a avid comic book reader. I've been reading them since I was 5. I'm still hip to the game. That's one thing. A pure uncut nerd.
Yeah. So like, how can people best support you, and how can people best support the culture?
Support me by supporting the culture. Here's the thing, man. I mean, if I sell some shit and you think it's cool, get it. But I fuck around. I should be selling T-shirts and stuff because I'm really good with the pen. But I would say support the culture, man. Ask why. I think a lot of people, it's a different culture, but ask why. Do the research. If you don't like something, figure out why you like. Be able to articulate it, because in sometimes doing the research to find out why you don't like shit, you'll be like, damn, maybe I did like it.
So you're saying like being able to properly form your own opinion.
Yeah, man. Be an active participant. That's what I mean by just don't spectate. Be in it, because a spectator can make ludicrous fucking, it's a cool little skit that I watched once where it was there was a bunch of Star Wars nerds talking, and it was one person, he obviously wasn't into Star Wars. He was just saying out there shit. You know what I mean?
What was he saying?
He said, he goes, what did he say? He goes, so, and they gave him like the whitest, obviously out of touch voice, like, so Princess Adala had an affair with so and so, and they're like, what the fuck? That's Luke Skywalker's mom. She couldn't have done, like, they're like, she couldn't have done this. What kind of shit? Who are you reading? Like, they were like, and he's just like, no, this is from, and he literally went to like, yeah, this is so and so from he started naming Star Trek shit. And they're like, what are you talking? They're losing their mind. That's how some when they talk about house, it's like, you know what the fuck you're talking about, and you're talking about house. So I challenge them, because a lot of times what happens is, oh, you don't like this, so let's write down, let's make a mental note of things you don't like. Now let's look at the dancer that you like, and then it's like, now it's like shit. So maybe it's something else, because all these things that I say I don't like, the dancer I like does it. And then let's see the dancer that you don't like. And then you go over that, and some of the stuff you're like, damn, this aligns with shit that I like. So that's why I challenge, you don't like it, ask why. Don't be a spectator, get in it. If you claim to like, or shut the fuck up when motherfuckers that know what they're talking about are looking at the clip. Fall fucking back. And when I look at light feet shit, I say I like it, but if there's light feet fuckers talking, I fall back. Because they'll educate me sometimes just on them going, yo, this dude is whack, and I'll go, oh shit, I actually like that. Maybe I gotta rephrase the way. You know what I mean? Same thing with flexing. A lot of the all-style battles, man, I hate when flexers enter because I don't like their principles, their approach is different from my generation's approach. You know what I mean? And they always look at me like, we hate cricket, fuck cricket. But it's like how they approach the music, how they approach everything is different from my generation's approach, from house and hip hop. That's why I look at the all styles thing. I think there needs it. I have issues with the dance your style thing, the Red Bull dance your style thing, because I think America is at the point where we don't need to be all in one pot. We got enough seasoned house dancers so we can have a Red Bull house dance. And Red Bull, you can take this motherfucking idea. I don't give a fuck. Just do right. You can have a fucking house dance battle. You can have a hip hop battle. You can have a locking battle. You can have a popping. We got enough good motherfuckers in this fucking country, bro. You don't have to keep doing this whole lump and then have them dancing to KC and the goddamn Sunshine Band. Nothing wrong with KC and the Sunshine Band. But I'm saying I ain't trying to do fucking house to it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying, I'm saying like you can give people their shit. So it's like because New York, Europe is pushing, Japan is pushing because they can go, this is locking or this is whacking and push it in, and then it makes the community stronger and better. Right now, we've finally got a lot of up-top dancers here, enough to do contests. And I think we are squandering the opportunity by just having all styles things, which invites the fucking person to be like, I thought so-and-so was better because, and like, what the fuck do you know? That was a whacker versus a fucking house dancer. And you don't know what the fuck, get the fuck out of here. That invites that shit as opposed to now we've got, the conversation is deep because it's a light feet battle. Now the judges are talking and then we're being educated because they're telling us this is a good thing in light feet. This is not a good thing. Because if me and you don't know, we're just going, that shit looks dope. But they could be like, that shit is whack. It's like, I didn't know. This is what's happening. Because some people are looking at this battle and they're allowed to comment because there is no person like when there's a house battle up or a popping battle up that's going through and going, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. We're going to take this off the thread. You know what I mean? This person is talking about things. We're going to edit this out. They could write a lengthy essay about house dance and it could be full of pure shit, but nobody's going to know. They're just going, oh wow, this is great. They really wrote about house dancing, and it's like you get somebody like Ejo or somebody somebody who knows, look at it and be like, the fuck are they writing about, yo? This is bullshit. You dig what I'm saying? So it's if you go in and you deep dive in, you can self-correct yourself if you're in it. You won't have to worry about not knowing. And the thing is, the numbers of people knowing is growing. So you won't be able to hide for long, motherfuckers. Scratch that. But yeah, it's catching up. I'm watching a lot of dancers all over. It's starting to click.
Right now you're giving me Key and Peele vibes for the culture. Remember that episode where it was just them two, and they were like,
"Oh my god!"
Yeah, right. But right now you're like, culture.
That's the best. That's one of the best skits they ever. There's many, but that's one. That's my all. When the motherfuckers are in the treehouse, like, you know what I told? I said, "Bitch!" Oh my god, that shit is so funny. That shit is so funny.
right now.
That's one of the best. That was like first season.
Yeah, that was really good.
Oh my god.
Okay. Any shout outs you'd like to mention?
Yeah, man.
For whatever reason, just
Step Fenz crew. The iteration that I was in. They taught me so much, man. Cyclone, Tone Bones, Rondé, Steve, Colleen, Ray, Ricky, BJ, my homie BJ, Chris, Angel, all the dancers that went to Pulsations, all the dancers that went to Rainbow Playground, all the dancers that went to the Trocadero. These are all like the clubs I came through, like where I learned. Claude, Brooks, oh God, Kareem, Brad, Sean Green, of course, like everybody, bro. My mom, my dad, my sisters. Cause, you know, I have to say, I even started getting a little like, I don't know if this art shit is gonna work out. I had a really supportive family in my career. Cause like, you know, like it's easy to have a family to be like, oh, that's your crazy uncle, you know, but they always, my nephew, everybody was supportive of me being a weird art dude and trying to figure my shit out. Yeah, I mean, my crew, Crazy Natives, because through them, me trying to get, I came to an impasse in my dance. I hit this point. It wasn't like a logical or like a good or bad thing. I just hit this point where all the dancers that fucking came to the session after it became, when we went from the lab to househead session, it was like the numbers were light. You know what I mean? Shouts out to Erico, who I did the lab with. We had a misunderstanding. We went our separate ways, but I, you know, rebranded it the house head session, and the dancers that came, it was like,
was that the one at PMT Studios?
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm. But it got distilled. It was like the motherfuckers that came was like, it was like all these little circles. And people were just working. And in there, we were all growing together. And from that's where Tommy, one of the guys that was in Crazy Natives, goes, Crick, you should look at this dancer over in Europe. Like, and then Jokey comes from Japan. And he's bringing that information. And then we've got Mariana from Russia. And then we've got Shango from New York. We got Marcus from New York. We got all these new, younger dancers that are helping me. You know what I mean? Because now I'm looking at what they're doing. So, and the thing is, what I see them doing with house, I don't want it distilled. I don't want them, like, I'm trying to let them get their information how I got it. Not so much class step, but more like the nuances, the attitude, the approaches. And in me trying to funnel the information from myself to them, and then taking the information from the OGs, pulling it through myself, and then giving it to them, I learned things that I couldn't even put a word to. You know what I mean? So that era of my dance was super important. Hold up, let me little shout out, little shout out, little shotty dotty, little shout out to the crew, little Crazy Native shout out. Yeah.
Did you design it too?
Yeah, man. This is the little Crazy Native logo. Yeah.
Yeah, I also really love the logo you made for Brian and Feature.
Oh, cool, man. You know, that was at one point, man, I that style of like the all black, I had always played with it, but then my homies, the Hood Lockers, I had made these little characters for them. And then I was just like, I love doing it. So I just did it for everybody and just was giving it to them. Like, yo, like.
Yeah, those are like, turned out to be really dope.
Yeah, I really love doing that shit.
Like you really captured the essence of like whoever you did it, you know?
I feel like with that style, it's gestural. It's not so like it's like their movement. They're like how to capture how they move. And I love doing that shit. Like that's like, and to give it to them to kind of like, as a gift for them because I learned so much from watching Future. I learned so much from watching Brian. Like, and it's my gift to them. Like, hey, do whatever you want to do with it. Make t-shirts, make whatever. I don't care. But this is my gift for what you give it me. Because community is important. Like my crew being a community, the community of New York City community, like Mawu, all the ladies of Mawu super inspired me. Of course, Dance Fusion and just New York in general. Who else did I miss? Mikey Disco, because that connection between me and Mikey was really important for both of us, I think. And me understanding what was going on the West Coast and what was inspiring me from back in the day that I couldn't put words to, because he's the one that told me about Housing Authority and the Soul Brothers and Super Dave. So it was like me looking at and then information-wise, that connection was super important. Michael Clark, also, like the way my conversations with Mike Clark really helped me understand. I had all these notes, but I didn't know how to tie them together. You know what I mean? And him giving me different, like our conversations, helping me. It's like me not even knowing that my conversations with Mike Clark were prepping me to teach in universities. You know what I mean? Also, my friend Kai and his partner Corey, who introduced me to Alexander Technique, which also helped me teach. Shout out to Alexander Technique. If you don't know, you don't know, but if you do, you do. But yeah, man, and Mario from Havoc Koro, man, just my brother, just helped me, just you know what I mean? Just being able to talk to somebody at that level, we can just talk about dance, talk about life. All the new young dancers over in Europe that I hung out with, that really changed my view of the dancers, the young dancers in Europe. Alex DeCage, Candyman, Frankie J, like Clara. That, like, I just had run-ins with them, man. Montreal is fucking dope. I fucking love. If I didn't end up in California, I was going to end up in Montreal. And everyone's like, it's so cold, but the vibe in Montreal is nuts. So dope out there. All my friends in Japan, all my homies in Japan, Yusuke, Joki, Mayu, Honomi, so many motherfuckers, and so many of the fam in Japan. Dan, so many motherfuckers, man. Rice Ball out there, Swans out there, up in Japan. So many. I just don't want to forget anybody, man. Alex, not our Alex that was in our crew, or, you know, yeah, man. Because I grew, you know, they helped me grow as a person, you know.
So, what are final closing thoughts for our listeners out there? What would you like to close out with? Whether it's a new dancer, a OG, an elder, who do you want to speak out to?
Each one teach one, man. Each one teach one. Oh yeah, even Sean Welsh, Conrad, who else, man? Just so many dancers that I just got that would share with me. Kaheem, Rennie Harris, of course, Clyde, Abdul, Todd Sarenko, Cookie, just all, like, I carry. They're not dancing anymore, but I just carry them on the floor. You know what I mean? Yeah. Each one teach one. Because if you notice, community is king, man. You can't do it by yourself, and don't try to do it by yourself. You will get better. Okay, one thing I want to leave with, and this is from all my students as well, from PMT. All my students that supported the freestyle class, like Chi-Chi, Melvin, Clouds, Guan, everybody, you know, that came through and learned. Laura, Siri, like, I'm just saying these names because I learned through teaching them. And the one thing I learned, you notice I named, like, community is king. The one thing I noticed, so Chi-Chi, Crystal, she started from, and I promise I'll shut up after this. She did choreographic street dance, and wanted to venture into house. Everything I fucking told her to do, she would do. So I had to hold myself accountable, because I would go, she goes, I want to get better at house. I'd go to the session. She'd go to the session, bro. And I would see her I'd be like, oh shit, I didn't tell her what to do. So I'd be like, you should do this. And so it was like, I had to be super mindful of what I said to her as a student, because it was like, fuck, I can't give her easy answers. Because I would say, go to the club, she'd go to the club. But then what else? Shit. So through the freestyle class that I had started, and I was inspired for the freestyle class from Super Dave, because I was being offered another class at PMT, and I was just like, I don't know what the fuck to do. I'm going through my thread. I just see Super Dave wrote freestyle class. I was like, oh shit. shit, how to get, because I would always tell my Wednesday students to go to the session, and they would go to the door and just stand and look. And I know that fear, because I had that fear before. Like, oh yeah, don't think you're supposed to just instantly get it. I started this shit when I was 14. I didn't start jumping into like the big dog circles until I was 18. I stayed in the little pond. From 14 to 18, I stayed in the little pond. I was in no rush. But so by the time I got into the big boy circle, I had acquired tools from being in the little pools. You dig what I'm saying? So when I got to the big pool, I was already seasoned. Take your fucking time. You'll get there. Just take your time. So going back to Chi-Chi. So Chi-Chi is now listening to everything I'm saying. I'm like, shit. But now through the freestyle class, she's going to the freestyle class. We're distilling aspects of the culture, cultural things, something that Mike Clark called the cadence. What are the movements outside of foundation that define house dancing? It's from Mike Clark. He called it the cadence. He's like, Cricket, what's the cadence of house? Fucked my whole mind up. Sent me just in, he didn't have to say anything else. These are the conversations that sent me like, oh shit, what the fuck? So I'm getting this information, but Chi-Chi's still at this, like, she's plateaued. And I'm like, fuck, what is it? So one day I notice, like we did the freestyle class in one room and the session in another room. We walk over, we're talking. We go into the room. She goes into the back to dance by herself. I go to dance with my crew. I'm like, that's the difference. Community. She's trying to figure all this shit out by herself. I'm going to my feedback system, my crew. They're keeping me, like when I dance by myself, I feel fucking dope. I feel like 100%. And I'm comfortable around them. So the way I feel when I'm dancing by myself, I feel when I'm dancing with my crew. And what are they doing? The feedback system isn't even based on like, oh, that shit is whack. They're going, yo, when you do that, that shit is dope. I'm like, what do I? Oh, you know, when you do that one thing. Oh, that thing? Yeah, that's dope. I can put to record, there's at least 4 moves that I do that I would never be doing on a regular basis if it wasn't for like BJ or Tommy or different members of my crew that would go, hey man, you need to keep doing that. That's dope. So when you have that feed, your crew, it could be your partner that just knows you. When you have that what is your 100? Who are your 100? Who are the people that get you? And you're not going to be 100 all the time, but they'll always have you throwing up close to 100. You know what I mean? So that, and then it's up to you to like know that feeling, keep that movement. So when you go to the circle, your number won't drop too low out of just like excitement or whatever. And when, like, let's say me and you've been dancing together for like 2 years, we know each other. Just me being in a circle and looking at you and you doing like this, I'm like, oh, I'm on it. Vin is giving me that, or you looking and I did something dope and you being like this, oh shit, giving me the oh shit, like nigga, you killed that. I'm like, oh, I'm on it. Or you looking and you being like this, slow down. That's all. You're my, like, that shit is immeasurable. Nobody does this shit by themselves. The OGs, what? They grew up together. They were in a crew together. Crew. Crew is not, oh, these cool motherfuckers. Like, we are together because we're cool. We became cool. We grew together. We cultivated together. Crew is community. Crew. Don't spectate. Get into that shit. You know what I mean? Lean on your squad, your crew to help you get better. Look at the rappers. Everybody came from somewhere. Ooh, look, you heard that? There we go. Bling. Eminem came from D12. Right? You know what I mean? Like Busta Rhymes came from Leaders of New School. It's rare that, like, even the rare ones still came from a community. Right? So it's like, especially in the street shit, community is king. Find your 100. Don't spectate, participate. Shouts out to Ivan, the urban action figure, for just helping me, just because he makes up shit like that. Cool shit. Yeah, man. Shouts out to Breaks crew, the fam. Shouts out to Jigs. I could be shouting out all day, man. You might want to get me off this mic. Shout out to Tony Touch. Shouts out to Moncel. My homies and Skill Methods. Like, Ab, Tech, all them boys. Fleet, just the homies, bro. The homies. That,
Yeah.
you know, shouts out to my homie Jardy, bro. Super proud of what he's done. Because there's not, from the day that I started teaching house, because I didn't want to teach for a minute. Because I was trying to like, how do you teach this? You know what I mean? And from the day that I started teaching, somebody will come up and go, Jardy sent me to you. For real, from day one, Jardy's Jardy's a good dude, man. So it's like, I'm super proud of what he's done and like how much, what he's done with putting the steps out on YouTube, what it's done for house culture and how it touched and spread it all over the place. Whether you like it or not, man, Jardy has really had an impact on house dance culture with him putting out just the basics.
Yeah, that's 100. I went out to San Francisco a few times, and then I approached some dancers that I didn't know who they were, and I was like, hey, who did you learn from? And they were like, I learned from Jardy's videos.
Bruh. Like, whether you like it or not, he has affected the culture in such a profound way, man. And for me to just know him, I'm just like, oh, fuck, bro. And then for him, because, you know, some people, when they blow up. You know, they be on some like, yeah, you know, it got all this shit. You know, I'm the man. Like, Jardy has never been that dude. Jardy's always like, these are my teachers. These are the people I learned from. You should go find these people. Go seek these people out. So, and that's just like, that's the cherry on top. Yeah. You know what I mean? That like there has not been, like, it was more frequent back in the day, but there has not been every few months I get a, hey, are you Cricket? I was told to come see you by Jardy. I swear to fucking God, man. Straight up.
Yeah, definitely shout out to Jardy.
Yeah, bro. Steve in Boston.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show, and I really appreciate you sharing all your perspectives, especially in such a passionate manner. Mm-hmm. You know, I really appreciate like insider knowledge into New York. You know, definitely super open to having more of the OGs coming on here. So hopefully they'll start making their way.
Yeah, man. I just gave this was dope, man. It was dope.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate you coming here. And then I definitely know that you're welcome back anytime.
Word.
Yeah.
Peace, man. This is fun, dude.